Sure. Like the face of a sunflower?
Where are the spirals?
See this math everywhere.
Welcome back to the Gnostic Informant, and you are about to attain true gnosis. And today we're going to be bringing on a guest who I kind of have a backstory with, going back pretty far. And let me explain what I mean by that. There's a book that was going around when I was actually it was the county before I went upstate. And there was a book that was circulating around the Erie County, the jail, very popular. It was this book right here called "None Dare Call It a Conspiracy," written by author Larry Abraham. And I remember reading this book, and it did. I probably shouldn't have read it, but it did something to me, man. It did something to me. It was a world changing. It's a crazy book, and it's so Larry Abraham is the author, and recently, I want to say about a year or so ago, I get in, I'm always in different chat rooms and debate spaces on Twitter, and this fellow joins in, and he's a Christian. He says he's a Freemason, infiltrated the Freemasons, 33rd degree. And then he starts talking about, his upbringing, and he brings up this book. He mentions the book, and I was like, that book, I've read that book. He's like, oh, that's my father's book. My father wrote it. And I was like, so we became friends from that point forward, and I discussed having him on. It's been a long time coming. Anyways, without further ado, Joshua Abraham. What's going on, man? It's been a while. We've been trying to get this going for a while now, and we finally set it up here. So what's going on, man?
Hey, thank you so much for bringing me on your show. It's such an honor to be a part of your community finally. And I've been watching your show for many years, and I thought that was really cool how we met in that chat room that one night. And I'm just glad that one of my dad's books got to reach you in the jail system, because when I took control of my dad's book, me and my publisher, we had a bunch of old copies in storage, and we didn't know what to do with them. We were going to sell them used on Amazon, but I was like, let's give them to the jail system, because me myself, I did some jail time just like you, and I'm really proud that one of my copies got to you, man, because honestly, it's a great thing. You learn a lot when you go that place, and there's nothing to do but read. And during my time, I read a lot too.
Everyone becomes a reader when they go there.
Yeah, and I'm just glad, I'm really glad that my dad's book got to you and was able to change your perspective on everything and give you the inspiration to go into this style of knowledge. And it's really cool that someone, reached out and you received the message that I sent out there. So that's really cool. Thank you for bringing me on, Neil. This is a great honor.
Yeah, and it's when I look back at where I was at when I got that book in my hand, where I'm at now, I'm in a totally different world, like space, than I was. But I'm glad that I was able to sort of experience what was laid down, and I'm able to explore some of these ideas. Um, your dad wasn't a Freemason, though, right?
No, he was a part of the John Birch Society.
What exactly is that?
It was at first it was kind of like the opposite coin or the anti-Mason group, but they eventually got taken over. There's rumors that the Masons set it up from the beginning, which wouldn't be a shock to me because that's how they operate. Controlled opposition is one of their best, weapons. And
Mm,
yeah, my dad was a part of that for a long time, and they used my dad's book as kind of like the thesis statement or like the piece of literature to like give their message out to the world of what they stand for, end in the Federal Reserve, stand up to this new world order. And,
mhm.
he was really good friends with Ron Paul and Dinesh D'Souza.
Yeah.
And, he was a hired independent consultant to Margaret Thatcher and President Ronald Reagan while they were in office. And through
Wow.
that, he set up this investment company right there on the Panama Canal with one of my brothers. And it's not in operation anymore, but there was a time there that they were operating on the canal, trying to say, invest people's money. And he had a very interesting life. And I didn't, sadly, I'm finding out more and more about him after he died, and just more and more, like, because he kind of really kept me in the dark. He didn't ever tell me about his book. I had to fall ass backwards into that knowledge. And it was really astounding, to say the least, how 2 years after he died, I found out that my dad was the first to expose the New World Order. And 6 months later, I was on InfoWars with Alex Jones. And then a few months after that, I was on Coast to Coast with George Norrie. And through that, I met Fritz Springmeier, who's currently my mentor. And we came up with this plan, this idea. Well, I brought him this idea. He didn't want me to do it. He thought it was nuts, but I kind of gave him the idea. No one's ever infiltrated Masonry or the Brotherhood before and come out and be able to tell its information without that oath hanging over their head. Because
Yeah.
if you take that oath of light, you're bound to them. And the amount of books I had to read to just simply get around that little ritual, just to get around that oath of light initiation ritual of
Tell us
first
about that.
degree. Yeah,
Tell us how
it's a
you
lot
got
of
in
reading.
there, and then we'll talk about the infiltration. How you even
Mhm.
got associated with them, what the initiation was like. Give us
Well,
some,
it
you know.
was really interesting. Like, I started when I was living in LA, I started out at the Redlands Lodge because I was living at West LA, and I didn't want to like start out in like as a first degree, like trying to infiltrate this thing. Just I knew I was gonna screw it up, so I wanted to get as far like as far away from my living situation that I can, so I don't see any of these guys on the street. So I started at the Redlands Lodge, and what they do, like, because I didn't like when you infiltrate these guys, like when like their code words and like all their mythology and all that, like you don't have one of these membership cards. That's the one thing I did not have, with these membership cards. And over the time of infiltrating these Masonic lodges, some lodges let me in, some didn't. And the ones who didn't let me in, they let me hang out and have the stated meeting dinner, but then I had to leave when the ritual began. But the ones who did let me in, they take you into this back room. There's always three of them that interrogate you. They take you into a back room and they say, okay, present yourself, as a first degree or a master mason, whichever degree I was infiltrating at the time. And you have to present yourself. You have to do the footwork. The first degree is you put your feet in a 45, and you have to put your hands like this on top and underneath the King James, and you do this because in first
Really, it has to be the
degree,
King James.
what's that?
It has to be the King James, huh?
No, like it's pretty much basically the holy book that you swear on. If you're a Muslim, it'd be a Quran. If
Oh,
you're
okay.
a Hindu, it'd be a Bhagavad Gita. It's basically the book
Makes
that you're
sense.
gonna swear your first initiation, oath on. And so here in America, it'd be a King James for basic Blue Lodge.
Because
So,
that he's a Scottish king, and it's a Scottish Freemason, right? I'm just guessing. Yeah.
well, you could make that connection, but it was a little deeper than that at the time. He was as King James was associated with something way darker than masonry at that time. But we'll get into that. But
Okay.
you
Yeah,
know,
that's awesome.
there's always three guys that interrogate you, and when you pass your interrogation, they bring you into the ritual, and they're any Mason will tell you stated meetings are really effing boring. They're really boring because all they talk about is like, all right, this charity, that charity. You do your thing. It's a lot of business, and you talk about other things, and they'll let you know during these state meetings like who's having a book study over here, who's giving a lecture over there. State meetings, there is a ritual involved in the state meeting, but it's nothing like spectacular. The state meetings are really boring, but it's the book studies that I really enjoyed personally. That when like high
Really?
degree Masons would give a lecture, like I remember this one time, the Sovereign Grand Inspector General of Los Angeles was giving an excellent lecture on the Kabbalah, and you sit there and you just listen to these guys, and you can you ask questions, and there's you'll have lectures, and then there's book studies. Like Masons will get together, and like they'll talk about I'll give you an example. They'll talk about the secret teachings of all the ages by Manly P. Hall. And what's funny is that over in LA, when I did my book studies, you had to have these books done and complete and fully read. But when I came and I moved here to Texas, and I got involved with the book studies here, they went through it chapter by chapter together, kind of like a group study. It's like, well, this isn't what I'm used to. Like, you're supposed to
Which
have the book done so you
is it,
can
is it
you
the
know
Bible or some other book?
no, just like just give you an example. I got into a book study here in Texas at the Alamo Lodge, at the 32nd degree Alamo Lodge, like a block away from the Alamo. And it was really weird. Like, we got into the study room, which is the Albert Pike room, and his picture's right there on the back. And
Or-
they were like, "Oh, open up to chapter 5, and we're gonna." It's like, wait a minute, you guys didn't finish this? They're like, oh no, we're going through it chapter by chapter. I'm like, so how? So basically, they were gonna take a year of book study to go through this book together. They were scheduled for like the next months, like 6 months out, to like go through this book together. And that really kind of woke me up. I was like, wow, Texas Masons are really different from California Masons, because California Masons are really well read, and I found out that Texas Masons ain't really up to snuff when it comes to the operative masonry. A lot of speculative Masons around here who just are in it for the scene and not a lot of study. But
Mm.
that's neither here nor there. It is different everywhere you go. I
Yeah,
figured
I was
out,
gonna say,
and I've just
there's local chapters that are doing different things, involved in
yeah.
different things. Yeah.
Yeah, in Texas, they're really concerned about your monthly dues and your memorization. But in LA, they're not concerned about the useless page that you have to memorize in your monthly dues. They want to know what you've read. And when you can tell them straight up, like, yeah, I've read this, this, and that, they're like, oh, well, yeah,
Really?
don't
It's
you? So
about
you're gonna
it's a
bring your card
knowledge
next
thing.
time, right? Like, they're like, you're gonna bring your membership card next time, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I'll bring it next time. I'm like, okay, well, come on in. Texas, they're not like that. They're
So what are
very stingy.
this sounds like a knowledge based kind of thing. It's
Oh
about
yes.
what kind of texts are they? Is it Freemasons that authored stuff, or is it ancient sources? Like, what are you reading?
It's a lot of Manly P. Hall,
Course.
a lot of ancient sources, a lot of there's they'll talk about morals and dogma, some studies. And in LA, the best book studies I ever went to, they were talking about the secret doctrine and like the ancient texts of like the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Enuma Elish, the Epic of Gilgamesh. And
They're
they're
perennial.
really into what's that?
These are perennialists.
Well, they're just really into ancient, religions. And if they're gonna bring anything out of the ancient religious text, they like to bring in a lot of Aleister Crowley studies. They like, going through the Book of the Law. I highly recommend
Wow.
that for anyone who's like really speculative, or like really speculative, or like always wants to play the devil's advocate against masonry, because when you read the book of the law and you understand that's one of their holy books, like this is like, I really want to say the book of the law was a pure channeling, and this is how demons speak. And when you understand like how demons speak and like the tone and the wording they use, you really you will never forget it. And it's really fascinating how demons talk in like this certain kind of like montage or tone. The best way I can describe it, there's this new song out, I forget who sung it, but it's like, goes, I'm from outer space. I got Milky Way in my blood, evolution in my veins. And if you understand that song I'm talking about, if you read those lyrics, that's exactly how demons talk. They're all about experience and opening themselves up to a deception. And yeah, there it is, the book of the law right there. And I highly recommend that
Oh wow! I just got it.
for.
I just found the entire PDF on Wikipedia for the Book of the Law. I didn't even know this was on here.
Yeah, that thing's everywhere at Barnes and Noble. Not surprisingly, that book is everywhere, right there with the Satanic Bible in the self transformation section at your local Barnes and Noble. That thing is everywhere, and it's really fascinating and not coincidental. I think how all four holy books of the 33rd degree are just right there, your local Barnes and Noble, for anyone. They just walk by it, but it's all there, just right there for everyone to see. And because that's how the high rankings of the occult work, always out in the open and in your face, so only the initiated can see it and understand it.
And I think this is what a lot of people are wondering is like, on the outside, exoterically, a lot of the Freemasons just kind of look like Christians. But you're
Well,
saying
here in
when you go
America, yeah, there's a
inside,
lot of that on the outside. That's the front, a
yeah,
Christian
you're
charity
saying when you go
organization. And a lot of them
inside,
think
it's more
that.
satanic.
What's
You
that?
so inwardly, so out because I've seen Freemasons. I see them on Twitter. I see them,
Mhm.
and they just are like, yeah, I'm a Episcopalian
Mhm.
Christian, or one. I don't think I've ever seen a Catholic Freemason. I think that's like oil and water. But I've seen Protestant Christians
Mhm.
as Freemasons,
Big
um,
time.
Anglicans, for example. But but and this is another thing. And then the higher, this is what I'm gathering from you. Maybe you can tell me more. In the esoteric, though, the higher levels, they get into more ancient religion, like Egyptian stuff, or even Luciferian satanic stuff. Is that where you're? Was that true?
Absolutely. Yeah. From the 30th degree on, that's when the shit gets real. And I would have to honestly say, when you get up to, 32nd degree, when you're a young, 32nd degree, kind of like Chase Geyser on InfoWars, that usually comes with lineage, how, his father and his grandfather were also 32nds that never ascended to the honorary level. You have a lot of that. And sadly, I know a few guys back in LA who I still talk to on a regular basis who are 32nd degrees and who will probably never ascend. And
How do
it's
you?
it is it's based on lineage, who you are,
Mm.
and it varies on so many things. Like if
You
you're
got to be
like
chosen, pretty much.
Travis Rice, who lives here in Texas, over in Houston. I saw he just got his 33rd degree honorary degree, and it took him a while to get it. He had that big concert, that killed a lot of people. So I'm sure that helped his cause. But it really depends on who you are. And it really
Damn.
depends on your lineage, who your family is, what you can offer. And I got to be honest with you, bro. Like, I will be, from the honest parts of my soul, like, I really strongly believe if I wasn't the son of Larry Abraham, I would have never been shown what I was shown or told what I was told.
They trust
And
you.
no, I think it was more sinister than that. I think it
Really?
was them kind of giving me like, do your worst. Like kind of like an intellectual or mental fuck you, do your worst. Like,
Really? They didn't
oh,
like
I
you.
absolutely. I don't think it was. I thought at first it was sincere, and they were nice. And as time went on, the more I thought about what happened that night, and critiquing like exactly what went down, and everything that I see happen today, I think it was them just saying, "All right, son of Larry Abraham, Do your worst. Here's our ancient secret. What are you going to do with it? Who's going to believe you? Go for it. It's just, I can't tell you how much backlash I've gotten over the years trying to tell people this, being called a liar, a grifter, controlled opposition, an agent, whatever. And I always turn back to my faith in Jesus. And he always gives me inspiration to keep going because it's not about me and it's not about money at all. I'm not asking for money. I don't care about that at all. I just want people to know that what they're seeing with all these black cubes and what they're seeing with these systems in place, with all these symbols, I'm just trying to help people understand what it is. Why do you see these hexagrams on the back of your dollar? Why do you see these black Saturn cubes and all this corporate symbolism? Why do you always see, you know, the color of the elements and all these big $1 trillion companies, the red, the yellow, the blue, and the green? It all comes down, to the 33rd degree and the code word of Metatron. I thought that was very funny how even Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook puts the symbol of the third degree master mason medallion, the two ball cane, at his Facebook symbol with the little thumbs up thing, symbol looking just like one of the ribbons. And then his new invention, the meta, goes right with the 33rd degree code word of Metatron. For those who aren't initiated, they would think nothing of it. But those of us who know what they know and who are initiated in this knowledge, it's a big slap in the face and a big, big obelisk. It's kind of like the obelisk in Washington, D.C., just a big old middle finger structure, to all those who are initiated that, say, to all you who know what we're doing. It's just a big, it's a gloat. It's a boast, it's a brag. And it's really unfortunate because I'm just trying to wake people up to this, brag and this ego trip that they're on. But to be, it doesn't, it just, people, and I was telling Jake Shields the other day, this is the same thing that happened to my dad back in the early 70s. Everyone called him, oh, you're a liar, you're crazy, you're out of your mind, but that was back in 71 of talking about the New World Order. Imagine being back in early 70s talking about the New World Order, what we're going through today. Before COVID, barely anyone gave that idea a chance. But here we are, folks, and it's okay because I was telling Jake Shields, people will figure out over time that what I'm saying is absolutely true. And I just hope another 33rd comes out and says, tells the truth, because Bill Schneblin, he told the truth. He told, what, the ancient secret of masonry is, but there's three others. He only told you about one. The vampirism of children is one of four ancient secrets of masonry at the 33rd degree level that he achieved. And sadly, he didn't tell you any of the books of the four holy books. He didn't give you any code words because I understand his obligation. He swore an oath to them, and he can only say so much. So bless his heart for saying what he is saying. But, we have to understand these people can't say too much. And me in my situation, I have two sovereign grand inspector generals, 33rd degree, of two different cities who have my home address. And I told them, your lamb is ready for sacrifice whenever you see fit. So I'm ready.
Now, a lot of people are probably wondering, well, our history, George Washington was obviously a Freemason. All these great leaders from the 18th century, even maybe 19th century, are Freemasons. Well, they were good people. Why are you what's so evil about it? What's so bad about it? What's going on? What happened? And was there a turn? Was it always evil? What are your thoughts on the sort of nuances of people like George Washington being a Freemason, or what their goals are, all that stuff?
Well, I think every Mason's path is different. And my neighbor who, is currently my study partner, we get to, we talk every month on the phone, or we hook up at his barbershop. He has his own barbershop. He's a 33rd himself, unfortunately, of the Egyptian path. And I don't, I come from the
What does
other
that
side
mean?
of the
I'm sorry,
cube.
not to cut you off. What does that mean, Egyptian path? I mean, I have no idea what that means.
He chose the 777, the book of the eagle, the book of the law. When you're presented the four holy books, you're told to choose one of your faith.
Forgive me
You
on this. What is the four holy books too? I
yeah.
this is all like new to me. I'm not completely. I might have heard it before, but someone watching might have no idea.
Right. Well, the four holy books consist of the lion, the ox, the eagle, and the
Oh,
man.
right.
That cherub,
From the
that
Bible.
the cherub that was
Yeah.
in the holy of holies in the temple of God next to the ark of the covenant. The body of a lion, the tail of an ox, the wings of an eagle, the face of a man. And the four holy books are a breakdown of that cherub. The book of man is the King James Bible of the Hebrew path. The eagle path of the wings of the eagle path is the Egyptian path of the 777. And the lion, the body of the lion, is the path of the Muslims, the Quran path and the Book of Fire. And we'll get into the elements later. And the Bhagavad Gita with the four holy Vedas represent the ox, the book of the earth, and the book of the ox. And when you read these four holy books, you understand the importance and the metaphysical importance and connection to what the cube really is. This is why Jesus claimed that he is the cornerstone of the foundation that the stone builders have rejected. Normal people wouldn't catch on to something like that. And I didn't at first when I first read the Bible. It wasn't until I received these four holy books and was told the truth that I understood what Jesus was talking about and how, in esoteric terms, how many times he did that speaking to the Pharisees because he knew what was going on. And he knew that these Pharisees were involved with some dark shit. And when he claimed that he was the cornerstone that you stone builders of the occult have rejected, that really pissed him off because the cube is everything in the occult. The cube is the law. The cube is the boundary and the law of the occult. This is why we have Times Square. This is why we have that hexagram on the back of our dollar. This is why you see all those cubes on the top of Trump's little towers. Like the cube is very important to these wizards and sorcerers. And Jesus knew exactly what was going on. And when you're a master mason, you speak, you're taught the language and the code. When you see another master mason on the street, you say, "Hey, I see you're a traveling man." And you say, "Yes, I'm a traveling man. I travel from east to west and from west to east again." And then the other man will ask you, "In search of what?" And you have to reply, "In search of that which has been lost." But the funny thing about masonry is they never tell you that which has been lost. Jesus said specifically to the Pharisees, "I have come to save that which has been lost." So he knew.
Okay, so but a lot of these Freemasons are also Christians, so aren't they like running into these conflicts of Christianity and then some of
In
these
contradiction, pretty much.
yeah. I mean, how does
Well, they
that
don't read their Bibles. That's the Luciferian trick. See, Lucifer, he bets on your ignorance. And that's a very sweet play because look around you, it's working. And when Jesus said, "Never swear an oath because all oaths are bound from the evil one," say yea, yea, or nay, nay, but never swear yourself or never swear on thine head. Here's the kicker in masonry, you go because Jesus specifically said, "Never swear on thine head because you cannot make one hair either white or black." Here's
Mm,
a first degree Mason swearing an oath on the checkerboard,
yeah.
directly
Contradiction.
contradicting Jesus's words. And
Sure.
Lucifer
Sure.
knows this because
Yeah.
Lucifer knows the Bible more better than all of us put together. And what would he do? What's a good Luciferian trick and what's a good Luciferian style? To put your man at a first degree on the checkerboard with a Bible in a square and compass, make him swear and go directly against the God that he believes that he's being loyal to. If that ain't Luciferian deception, I don't know what is. It's very sweet and very, very clever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess it's like it kind of makes you wonder like is there any struggle in the high levels? Like, is there people who are high level Freemasons who want to push Judeo-Christianity and like reject the sort of pagan stuff? And is there a faction that's like, no, we want like, is there, to me, it feels like that there has to be some sort of struggle there, or no, maybe not.
Well, the four holy books represent the four different factions. You have your Luciferian faction of the Book of the Law that previously, before that, was the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And when you understand the different factions, how the Muslim faction is put there as like a chaos army to create chaos in these wars for the Luciferian faction, so to keep the people, the sheeple, always in a state of fight or flight. And you notice how the Hindus really don't engage in wars? They're pretty much docile compared to the Christians and the Muslims and the Luciferians. It's because they're in the realms of the occult. They're the gatekeepers of Shambhala and what we know as the Hollow Earth. This is why Hitler went to Tibet in 1938 to seek his long lost Aryan brothers that the secret doctrine told him about. He was really into the secret doctrine. The Mein Kampf, that was just a book to give to the people for them to just, suckle on. Kind of like the Satanic Bible for the Satanic Church by Anton Sander LaVey. Anton Sander LaVey, he writes the Satanic Bible for his followers, but behind the scenes, what he's really studying is Aleister Crowley and the Book of the Law. That's the real stuff, but he wanted to give his followers something to read. And when you read Mein Kampf and then you read the Secret Doctrine, because the Secret Doctrine was the actual ideology of the whole Nazi movement, the whole Aryan versus the Semites. That's how Atlantis fell in the beginning, the ancient war of the Aryans of Agartha versus the Semite tribe of Shambhala. That's the war that made Atlantis fall into the sea with the help of technomancy. And when you understand that, and how ancient this war is, how the Aryans, the Indians, the Muslims, and the European blonde-haired, blue-eyed, against the Semite tribe of Shambhala, it's really fascinating how far back this goes. Because when you read the Secret Doctrine and you understand really what this struggle was about and how ancient it is, it really wakes you up, like, to the reality how serious this all is. Because World War II, according to them, was nothing more than a reenactment of the Atlantean War. And that kind of sounded just hysterically ridiculous to me at first. And I gotta be honest, it's really turning out to be as such. The more I read into it and the more I look into how the Torah rabbis were the ones who are really targeted and thrown in those Nazi death camps, and how the Zionist rabbis were saved and spared for this new nation of Israel that they made with the British in the previous war with the Balfour Declaration. They had the literature and the legislation in place. Now they just needed the global support. So what better to send half their population in oppression and keep this? The whole point of it was Zionism, and I find it very fascinating how this whole Aryan movement during the Nazi days really stemmed from the occult of the Freemasonic books. Because all these people, they say, oh, when Hitler got in power, he arrested a Rothschild and he took over all the Masonic lodges. And what people don't understand is that the Tool Society and the Germanian Order and the Vril Society, they were using the same spell books as the high degree Freemasons to get the information that they did concerning the Vimanas and the Vril power and everything that they claimed to achieve, because they used the exact same books that the Masons were using at the time and still have.
My understanding, though, is Hitler was like anti-Freemason, right? He was like wasn't he going to war with the French Freemasons, or is there something like that going on?
It's kind of like, it's kind of, I would relate it to the Catholic Inquisition. When anyone was caught holding a Bible, they were burned to the stake. This was all a war for battle and a war of knowledge, to contain the power. So when he went after the Freemasons, what people don't understand is that the people who started the Tool Society and the Germanian Order and the Vril, those were breakaway former 32nd and 33rd degree Freemasons who started their own little rebellion against the Brotherhood to save their nation of Germany.
Mm.
And it's really interesting how people miss that fact, how these people who started all these Germanian secret societies were former Freemasons, and they knew the knowledge that they had. And they knew they had to get that and control it to have complete control of their country in the realms of not just politics, but also the realms of the occult.
Yeah, because you have the Bavarian Illuminati from Adam Weishaupt. That was German. That's from Bavaria.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that those people influence later Germanic elites or something like that?
Absolutely. And it really just goes to show me, like, if I was, gonna do what Hitler did, Freemasonry would be the first thing I'd take over. Because I want that knowledge for my secret societies. I want all that knowledge that they've achieved over the epochs of time into my new secret societies that just started during during the First World War. Because a lot of those secret societies, the Vril, the Tool, the Germanian, those were started around World War I and after to save they were in a fight or flight mode. How would you feel if your nation just lost the greatest war the world has ever known and your country is so desperate and broke? Like, they literally turned to the occult to save their nation. And some would say that it was a good move. I would say that it was very deceptive in what the history books tell us about it, because they don't tell you that these Germanian societies were using the exact same demonology spell books as the Freemasons were doing to get this knowledge for these Vimanas and all these flying aerial vehicles that they achieved through the Vril Society. And I think her name was Maria Orsic, I think, who was the main channeler. And
Yeah.
it's really, it's very interesting why they dedicated so much time to going to Tibet and then to Antarctica, to New Schwabenland. That was very fascinating to me, how New Schwabenland was a very strategic, move for the Nazis. Because if you understand what the secret doctrine says and how important the Hollow Earth was to these Nazis, they felt like they really sought the entrance to Hollow Earth. There's the Hyperborean entrance in the north, and then there's the New Schwabenland entrance in the south. And it's really, I really hope I've heard a lot of rumors in Masonry how there's a city down there the size of Seattle and about
Really?
250,000. Yeah. And all these children from the Lebensborn program, from when before they struck Poland, there was a Lebensborn program with literally I believe like over 10,000 blonde hair, blue eyed Nazi children, how they just these Aryan breeding farms, and how they took them all in a submarine and just took them all to the south. And
Are
how
they
to
related
this
to the
day,
Theosophical Society too?
yeah, the Theosophical Society was that was the book of inspiration for the whole Nazi movement. And if you understand how important that book was to that whole Nazi ideology, it really is really quite astounding what they achieved and how they achieved it. Because I mean, to have a whole army rise up and just follow the mythology of the occult, go to the Tibetans to seek their Aryan brothers, go to the South Pole to seek the Hollow Earth in the entrance. And it's just really fascinating how, to this day, a lot of people don't know like the true ideology behind Nazism. It's not just about National Socialism. It's so much more than that.
Yeah. There's a couple super chats that I just want to knock off because there's some good questions here. First, I just want to say thanks for becoming a member, Cyper Nemo. Thank you for the $20 super chat, Jim. Appreciate you. True Gnosis Logos. Hell yeah. Thank you. Tracy, thank you for the super chat. What is their goal? Zionism.
What's that?
So they're asking, what is their goal? And then Zionism? Like, what is their relation to Zionism?
Oh, I can see it down at the bottom there. What is their goal? the New World Order, and Zionism question mark. Zionism, I would wrap it in a nutshell, the total global takeover of the anti Jesus Jewish Talmud ideology under a ruler of a bloodline of King David. It's all in the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, who what everybody, a lot of people call a hoax, kind of like the Bible. But it's funny how over time, like there's two books of prophecy I find really interesting. That's the King James and the protocols of the elders of Zion, because their prophecies keep coming true. And it's really interesting how at the very end of the protocols they called specifically for a world ruler to be of the bloodline of David through the tribe of Daniel. And I think over time we're really going to see a
Really, that's a Freemason idea.
well, it's a Freemason. It's a Talmudic Luciferian ideology backed up by Freemasonry. How about that?
Now, I want.
And the whole idea of I will say this before I'm sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
The new world, the idea of the new world order is very, very ancient, and this is
Yeah.
where people get tripped up on like how claiming like Abrahamic religions are like a conspiracy. Is people tend to forget how this idea of a new world order and global domination by a Luciferian coven goes all the way back to the times of Noah before the flood, because if you read Masonic books, they always talk about the three antichrists who will arise. The first one was Tubal-Cain in Atlantis before the flood. The second one was Nimrod with the Tower of Babel. And the third one has yet to arrive. That's what they're building all this
That's
up
a
for.
Freemason idea, what you just said? That's
Yes.
okay.
Yes. And the whole purpose of the Masons.
Huh?
Yes.
Why
Tubal-Cain. In the time of Atlantis before the flood, he was a really big brass worker and a metallurgy, very powerful wizard. He was the man who faced Enoch in a magical battle before the flood. There also, with the three antichrists and the three world wars, comes three magical battles. The first one with Tubal-Cain and Enoch, after Enoch became the Metatron and came back down from the realm of God. The second one was Moses and Aaron and the sorcerers, wizards of the Pharaoh, and the story of that staff eating up all the other staffs, and this that came into turned into a snake. And the third magical battle from Revelation 11 is going to be these two people called the two witnesses who challenge the Antichrist on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Sadly, they lose this battle. What is prophesized, they're supposed to lose this battle, but in 3 days after the loss, their bodies are supposed to be resurrected in front of everyone and brought up into heaven. And it's a very interesting prophecy. I don't fully understand it, but everything runs in threes in the realms of the occult, with three world wars, three antichrists, three magical battles, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. There's a real power to the Trinity, especially in the realms of the the Trinity and
Indo-European triads are pretty big.
Yeah, and especially in the realms of the occult, the Trinity is very important too.
Yeah, speaking of three, third Enoch introduces Metatron.
Yeah, I got that right here too.
Ishmael says, Metatron said to me, when the ministering angels or messengers say holy, according to its proper order before the Holy One, blessed be he, the ministers of his throne, and this is why a lot of people think Metatron means the one beside the throne, because he's always portrayed as being sort of the right-hand figure to Yahweh, and he's beside the throne of Yahweh.
Behind.
The name meta in Greek means like beside or after, like metaphysics, for example, after physics or beyond physics. And then tron can either be a suffix like electronics or something like that. But in this case, I think it's the word thronos, but the theta is becoming a tau. So it's tron. So it's beyond it's beside the throne. That's what it is. That's what I think his name is.
Yeah, in the realms of the Kabbalah, they always say how Metatron is the angel that shows humanity behind the veil and who stands on the right side of the throne of God, which is the
That
side
makes
of
perfect sense.
Jesus. Yeah, Jesus sits on the right, but Metatron, he stands on the right side and behind the throne. So his place exactly, because you know how important position is in the realms of the occult, whether it be in front, behind, east, west, whatever. But to have Metatron specifically on the right hand side behind the throne is a very interesting placement, because that tells me in the realms of the occult, he's on the right hand good path, but also behind the veil of the right handed good path. And I just think it's
Yeah,
absolutely no coincidence at all, you know, because
because the Jews would say there is no Jesus. We have Metatron. Like he's the character. He's the figure that is taking that spot. In Christianity, you just have Christ, who like is
that's really what
Metatron.
they say. I never heard that before. They say that.
Oh yeah, they
That's
don't
really
believe in Christ. I mean, obviously Jews don't believe in Christ.
right.
So
Because
I mean,
the code word for 33rd degree masonry is Metatron. So that's
yeah.
very interesting that they would say that. How
Oh yeah,
yeah.
this is a legitimate text for like Kabbalah Jews.
Uh-huh.
Like it's not part of the Tanakh.
Right.
It's considered pseudepigrapha, but it's taken
Mhm.
very seriously. It's not like they don't like they think this is a real text,
Right.
and
And
they attribute it to a rabbi named Ishmael.
okay. Yeah, I
So
see that. They say
this,
R. Ishmael, Rabbi Ishmael. That's right.
you can see they have their own triad. They have
Hmm.
Yahweh, they have Metatron, and then they have the spirit. You know, the spirit is like a the intermediary between the two.
Right.
So
Right.
I think I don't know. It seems the idea of Metatron seems to arise around the same time as Christianity, right around the same time,
Hmm.
which is pretty interesting. You got this
Yeah.
Shekinah. This is what I meant by the spirit, the abode of his glorious Shekinah. And if you
Yeah.
look
The
up that word,
Shekinah.
which is, I'll do that right now, Shekinah, which means hold on one second, let me pull it up.
I believe it's the female force of the spiritual realm.
Yeah,
Check me on that.
it's like a spiritual thing. It's like
A female
it
spiritual
completes
force.
it completes a
Yeah.
sort of Jewish triad. So you got Shekinah, the Hebrew mean dwelling or setting, denotes the manifest divine presence of God, and is extensively discussed in Talmud, Midrash, Hasidic, Kabbalah, and Judaism. Unlike the other Hebrew terms, the divinity emphasizes transcendence or sovereignty of God. Shekinah uniquely conveys the immanent relational aspect of the divine as
Right.
experienced within the world. I mean, you can literally translate this to as Holy Spirit in
Mhm.
the Christian sense. Um,
Yeah, I'm reading right here in Third Enoch, chapter 48, how Metatron claims he has 70 names,
yeah, I was
which
just going to show that one.
within his names, and that goes directly to the 72 different names of the lesser and the greater keys of Solomon and the Goetia. Because
Yeah,
72 different angelic names are what the Quran, or not the Quran, but the Kabbalah calls the Shemham Farash, which is one name of the 72 different angels. It's very interesting how Enoch claims in Third Enoch how he has 70 different names himself. So that really takes me back to instantly right back to the Goetia and the 72 different demons that they can summon through the Metatron cube when they draw out their ritual circle. It's always a cube that they work with, and I find that very fascinating because in the realms of the Cabal, not the Cabal or the Quran, in the realms of the Muslim religion with the Quran, they got to go around that Merkaba cube, 7 times, and you always see the cube and the flower of life for the Hindu religion, and then with Christianity, they always talk about the cornerstone, and with the Egyptian satanic path, that hexagram, if you look at a ritual circle through the Goetia spell book, and you
yeah,
look at the shapes that you have to draw to summon up a spirit, the wizard has to stand right on that cube and summon the spirit up. It's very fascinating how this all connects and it all makes sense when you read the flip side. Because as a Christian myself, reading the dark side and the Luciferian spell books makes it all make so much more sense and make it just can it adds so much more conviction to my faith and makes me understand the Bible a lot better. Because when you study the dark side, you know what the Bible's actually really talking about.
Well, I mean, this is kind of what I've been saying. Like I almost think Freemason, or even like Aleister Crowley, or even like Amon Hillman today, for example. I almost feel like figures like this are put up on a pedestal by algorithms or whatever, because it's always just going to bring people back to Christianity. I feel like I feel like the church wants people like this. They want Aleister Crowley's out there. They want Amon Hillman. They want people saying "Hail Satan" publicly, because then they can go, see, or we're right. The Antichrist.
Yeah, that's a
That's what I think.
great. I'm glad you pointed that out, because I was talking to my friend the other day, and with this think about this mass baptism, this mass awakening, or this big revival in Christ. There's a big deception to it, because the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church, they're cleaning up and they're raking in new followers every day. But keep in mind that the Bible claims that it's these institutions that are going to tell the world to worship the Antichrist when he arrives. And I just can't look at the Catholic or the Orthodox Church as anything else but the white pillar to the west and the black pillar of Masonry to the east. Just the pillars of Jachin and Boaz right there. You know, the pillars of Masonry, two different church institutions just raking in followers, because the Antichrist is going to have no power. See, that's the magical circle I was talking about.
Yeah.
The wizard has to stand right there in the middle on that Metatron cube, while the demons get risen up through that triangle in the circle. So you have four different cubes around him within the main circle to represent the four different paths of Masonry, the four different denominations. You have the four stars on the outside, because the four books in the four different denominations represent the north, the east, the south, the west. And anyone who rises demons knows how important cardinal direction is. You know, the building block of the four, the number of the four is very in the beginning, when you start studying the Illuminati, you think everything's in threes. Turns out the higher you go and you get into first degree illumination of neophyte level of the Illuminati, you realize that everything works in fours. And it's very interesting how that changes. So I hope people wake up to that fact.
Yeah, this is like the magic circle thing. This is also,
Yes.
you also find this in what is that? There's a famous story, it comes from Indo-European lore. I'm trying to pan something. But it's Faustian. It's like Faust. Faust. Let me see if I can find it. Goethe's Faust. I think it is. Maybe it's not this one. But there's like some sort of story that it's based on Faust.
Okay.
And the guy, this guy, Mephistocles, this guy right here, he's basically the devil.
Mephistopheles?
Yeah, and he has to make, and the person has to make a circle, and that's the only way he can't. It's weird. Like he makes a deal with the devil, and the devil he gives him 3 wishes, and then after the 3rd wish, he gets his soul. But apparently, if he makes a circle with like a pentagram inside, the devil can't get his soul, so but he has to stay in that circle forever.
It's probably made of salt. Salt circles are
something like that.
Yeah, salt circles are a big spiritual protection, because
but you find this story. This is actually a story that's retold in different versions, going back very far.
Right.
There's one that has the one guy's name was like Pan or something. I can't remember the name right now. Someone in my chat probably knows. Let me see if I'm looking at the live right now. Let's see. Anyone you know?
Anyone in the chat know?
Yeah, I'll find it. But anyways, the next super chat is it not the Demiurge?
Oh, well, the Demiurge is another name for the flood, and this is that's also another name for the demons. The Demiurge demons are what we call the archons. That's when I see that word Demiurge, is it not the Demiurge? That question. Well, yes, it is the demiurge. It's the, it's the reaction, the repercussion, and the ones who survive the demiurge or the great flood. And when we understand that this new world order is completely based around the demiurge, the resurrection of Atlantis, and the 10 kings of the 10 economic sectors through the United Nations, we understand that yes, it is the demiurge and everything that entails it, the mythology, the repercussions, what happened before and after. And yes, it is the demiurge. So that's a good
No, this is
question.
a
Good
great,
super chat.
a great super chat, and the reason
Mhm.
why, well, good timing too, Pink Bean, because I found what I was looking for. It's Pan Twardowski, and it's an ancient Polish folklore, but it's a retelling of older Indo-European myth that I don't know where it traces back to, but you can see right here it has been linked to older Indo-European motif of the smith and the devil. And
Hmm.
I actually think this goes back to Prometheus in the story of Prometheus and Zeus,
Okay.
and that's the origins of these little offshoots, these little
Mhm.
offshoot stories. And you can see the guy has to, I think there's probably got to be an image in here somewhere. No, maybe not. Oh wait, look, see, like Simon Magus is related to it.
Right.
Wait, is this the one? Pan to Deuce. Does it see how many versions there are? There's always
Right.
different versions, and it
Hmm.
always has to do with a man who makes a deal with a demon or some sort of entity who can control. And this is why I said the demiurge is a great super chat, because the deity can control time. He can um he can control time, and what else is he able to do? He can control time, and he can own souls only if you make a deal with him. So he
Okay.
can like grant wishes, he can control time. He's an extremely This is not just like your average little demon that can like haunt you. This guy is
Right.
full control of the physical world that we inhabit. Like he literally can stop time, pause time, go backwards in time, and there's no way once you make a deal with him, people think they can outsmart him and get out of their bargains, and it doesn't work. He'll
Never
always find a way.
does.
Like there's one version of the story, and the guy who's in the he's in the circle with the pentagram, and he's just there. He's blind because he's like lost his eyesight. He's completely overtaken by all this stuff, and he's waiting for his third wish to be granted, but he's not going to do it.
Mhm.
And eventually, he like causes an earthquake to happen, and then the guy falls out of the circle, and then immediately hits his head and dies. So it was
Wow.
like you can't get out of your bargain. But
I'm
anyways,
sure a
I don't
lot
know
of
how we
people have
got onto
tried
this.
over the
I
years.
guess. Oh yeah, the demiurge thing. Yeah, I was gonna say it is like the demiurge, because the
Yeah.
demiurge is like a time deity, but the demiurgus means creator or orgus or ergot, like worker. He's a tech. He's a technician. He's a builder. He's a mason. That's what he
I
is.
didn't know that.
And
That's
that's what a
cool.
demiurge is a creator.
Okay. That's
It doesn't
cool.
necessarily mean all powerful, all knowing. It just means he has the ability to create, manifest,
Hmm.
and manipulate matter. If that makes sense.
Okay.
So
That checks out like perfectly with everything they believe. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's another one from Bach and Pan Dionysus or Danius. What do you make of the Rothschild Shield of Edom?
Field of Edom. Hmm. Well, I think the Rothschilds are a front family to what the real controlling powers are. I think Rothschilds is what they want us to think is running, like what they want us to believe is running the system. I believe that it's a good front.
I
It
think we.
sends you into a mountain of books. Every Luciferian lie has to have a half truth to it. We who study Lucifer know there's always half truth, half lie, and You know, Rothschild is a very powerful name. That's the truth. But is he running the whole show? That's the lie. And I think it's very important, you know, that we study bloodlines and the Medicis and those Babylonian bloodlines on top of the 1776 Illuminati bloodlines, because you can take it all the way back. You know, speaking of bloodlines, people talk about, is it the black nobility? Is it, you know, the Rothschilds or the Illuminati? I would actually take it back to the 7 original houses of Shambhala. In the Secret Doctrine, we're told that Hollow Earth consists of 7 different houses or 7 different lineages that ruled the Hollow Earth and the surface above. And those are stemmed from Sanat Kumra and his 6 other houses. So when people talk about
Wait, who are the 7
lineage
houses?
and
Who are the 7 houses?
if you give me a minute, I can dig it up. I
Yeah,
can pull it up.
If you
Yeah,
want, if you
dude.
want to do that, and I'll read
Yeah,
the
dude.
next
Let's dig it
super
up.
chat. And if it's for you, I'll just keep going. But
Yeah,
if it's
dude.
for
Let's
me, I'll
dig it
just read
up.
it.
That's
Yeah,
why I
take your
love.
time, man.
That's
Take
why I
your
love
time.
the books, dude.
Take your time. Is it true Charlie Kirk's story? Clean, nothing to see here. Damn, furry did the deed. I guess I can answer that one. The question is, isn't that what the trial's for, right? We're waiting for the trial to happen. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Is
Found it.
you found it? Cool, great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is the great thing when you can read all these books. Because I came up with a hieroglyph system. Like whenever I read my books and I want to mark a note down, I put a symbol next to it, and whether it be like, give you an example. Like if it's about the Egyptians, I put a pyramid. If it's about the Ark of the Covenant, I draw a box with wings. And I've had
that's called the determinative. It's an Egyptian thing.
yeah, it's just for 15 years, all these books I've read, I can always, you know, keep note and remember what I've read just by putting a symbol and,
Sure.
you know, hieroglyph. So
That's literally how the Egyptians would in hieroglyphics, because hieroglyphics is very like, you can't really write, you can't express stuff. So they would have what's called the determinative. So if it was like a pyramid, they had a pyramid symbol. If it was a priest, they had a priest symbol. If it was a god, they had a god symbol. So
nice.
yeah.
It really helps me out. Like, and so here we are. So to the 7 houses, the house of Sanaka, Sanadana, Sanatana, Sanat Kumra, Jata, Vodou, and Panchakishka. Those are the 7 houses of Shambhala in the Hollow Earth, and they're all led by the house of Sanat Kumra. So, when people talk about bloodlines and lineages, I would take them back to the 7 houses of Shambhala underneath the earth, or what the Bible says, the lands and the waters underneath the earth. So, I look at this and I find it very fascinating how when people talk about bloodlines, they don't talk about any of this. And this is very common knowledge in the Hindu religion. Where Krishna came from was Shambhala. You know, that's where the gods come from.
Is this theory related to like the 7 races of humans, basically?
That's the 7 races.
How does it
where it all comes from?
How does it map on to us today? Like, for example, you had those 7 that you just named. I already forgot them. So, but you can mention again. Which of those 7 correlates to Europeans, African, what else? Asian, Jewish, I'm guessing. Is that 4?
Right.
And then what else you got? Eastern Asian, right?
Well, the 7 root races of the Theosophical Society and the Secret Doctrine,
same thing.
What they are is they're races over epochs of time. During the time of Atlantis, I believe that was the 4th or the 5th root race. The Aryans and the Semites at that time of Atlantis, they were part of the 4th or the 5th root race. I'd have to get back in the doctrine to check it out. But what I wanted to bring up to the attention of people is that whole ideology of the root races and the Atlanteans and the Theosophical Society, that goes right with a prophecy from Revelation 17, verse 10 through 14, how it talks about seven kings, five yet fallen, one is not yet come. And it talks about these 10 horns, which will coincide with the 10 kings of Atlantis. It also talks about how through the beast there will be a global mindset and a global consciousness, and through the beast, like we talk about, a global consciousness and a global mindset, and all of us being one with, with each other. And that global mindset is a direct uh, correlation and a prophecy for the time of the beast. And she talks about this a lot in the Secret Doctrine, how the age of the coming Antichrist will be the age of Aquarius and the man with the bucket of water. And it's really fascinating how people are really going to fall for this deception. And I really feel sorry for all the boomers who think the rapture is coming before the tribulation. That really sucks for them, because Jesus said twice clearly it's going to happen after the tribulation. Then when you tell them that, they freak out and they'll rush to Thessalonians and they'll hang on to that. And it's just, you just got to ask them, do the words of Jesus Christ power or trump over the words of Thessalonians and Paul's letter? Yeah, they do. So, who are you going to believe?
Sure,
It's
sure.
really funny how people get their scripture twisted, and really, they hear it from a church or from a podcast or a YouTube video, and it's
Yeah.
scripture to them. Within the level of deception can, even in the Bible versions, the NIV is missing, I believe, 16 verses. There's a lot of versions out there. Even the New
Well,
King James doesn't even have the name Jehovah with the vibrational tone of Jesus' Father in it. There's a lot of deception out there. And I would gladly say to anyone that if you really want to get hardcore, like, there is a King James, but the Geneva, that's a great one too. I would recommend nothing else but a Geneva or a King James if you really want to know the grits and gritty of Christianity.
you know what people will say about that is that it's because it has the Latin Bible picks up more verses that the Greek
Right.
doesn't have. So
Right.
the NIV, for example,
Yeah.
is basically trying to go back to the Greek and
Uh-huh.
ignoring all the Latin stuff.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And they pull out a lot of strong verses in the NIV. Like, if you when you get baptized in Acts 8:37, you're supposed to say before you get dunked, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. That's the prayer you say before you get dunked. And it's
oh
no
yeah,
surprise how the Catholics take that right out of their Bibles. Because I've noticed something with the Catholics and the Orthodoxes, that they violate two commandments every week by having images and worshiping on Sunday. They don't keep the Sabbath and keep the
sure,
images out.
sure.
And they really don't read I've never met an Orthodox or a Catholic that's read the Bible cover to cover, front to back. I've never met one.
It's liturgy for them.
Well,
They're supposed
when
to be
people do, I'll
read
give
to
you an
them
example.
by the
Yeah,
priest.
yeah, I'll give you an example. My wife is a Filipino, and she's a really big boxing fan. She's really into boxing. And Manny Pacquiao used to be a Catholic, but when he read the Bible front to back, he became a Protestant and, said goodbye to the church forever. And I find that if people did read the Bible front to back, you'd never have another Orthodox or a Catholic ever again, because people would actually know that their
I've been
church.
saying, as someone who grew up Catholic and then
Yeah,
left
me too.
Catholicism, became a Protestant for 9 years, and now I'm neither. And then I was a Gnostic for a little bit. Now I'm neither. I've come to conclude, as someone who's someone who doesn't have a bias for either or, I think they both have strong cases for certain things.
Mhm.
For example, the church has a strong case for, we have the apostle succession going back to the saints and whatever. And then Paul's Romans 16 lists off all these people who are supposedly the first bishops in all the first cities. Fair. The Protestants, however, are absolutely correct. Like, why do we have all these images of Jesus all over our churches? That was a big no in early Christianity.
Big no,
Even the
no. How
saints
many people died during the
even the saints
Inquisition?
that they claim, like
Yeah.
Epiphanius, was an iconoclast. He was knocking down images of. there's a passage in Epiphanius where he says, I was in Jerusalem last week or whatever. He says, I was in Jerusalem recently, and I saw a church. They had a small image of Jesus, and this is what he says. It might not have been Jesus. It might have been one of the apostles. I couldn't tell. He says it was on the door, and I knocked it down and took the door off, and they're pissed at me now. So he writes this Epiphanies. So imagine if he was mad about one image. Oh, my light just fell off. We're good. If he was mad about one image on a door, imagine how pissed he would be if he walked into an Orthodox church or Catholic church today and saw statues of Mary. So this is why I'm saying the Catholics have a point. The Orthodox bros, Catholics, whatever you want to call it, they have some strong cases in certain things, and then the Protestants are like kind of right about certain things too.
Yeah, I just look at the denomination's batting average. I just look at every denomination. I go look at their batting average. I mean, you can't be. I've read a very great book called the John Fox's Book of Martyrs, and it's very sad when you realize how many people died during the Inquisition because they simply did not want to worship on Sunday and kiss and kneel a crucifix.
Wow.
Because the people who had their Bibles took very seriously the no image. We worship the symbol of the cross, not the image of the death. That is such a strong point. And worshiping on Sunday, the day of the East, the sun of the morning, the Sunday, and compared to the Sabbath on the Saturday, which people, they'll relate it to Saturn. And it's just really is fascinating how people tend to forget how many thousands of people died just to wanting to keep just to do what the Bible said to do. And here you have this church institution saying, kiss this crucifix or you burn at the stake. And I think it's really sad how there's so many good Catholics out there that don't know the horrific history of their institution. There is an epoch of time called the Dark Ages that was called that because the Vatican took the teachings of the Bible away from the people for over 1,000 years. So I can't understand how these truth tellers or truth seekers can worship an institution that literally brought 1,000 years of historical darkness to the world. So
Rob,
it really, the mental gymnastics people play on themselves are very fascinating. But
Ping B, she meant Yaldabaoth, and that's the demiurge figure in the quote unquote Valentinian literature, or the quote unquote Gnostic literature.
Yaldabaoth,
Yaldabaoth. It's like a magic title, but it's also Yahweh. That's why it's got Yah as a prefix in front. Yah.
Some would argue it's Lucifer because Yaldabaoth is very goes with Sophia in those Gnostic texts. There's Yaldabaoth, then there's Sophia, the male and the female of this Gnostic ideology from these Gnostic texts.
Yeah, and the story is called the Apocryphon of John. It basically says that Sophia, which is one of the higher archons from the eighth heaven, I think it's the eighth heaven, creates Yaldabaoth, and Yaldabaoth was going to create the lower realms, the material realms of Earth. And according to this author, this is the Jewish God, or he becomes the God of the Jews. And he's mistaken. He thinks he's the only God. He has no idea that he's got gods above him. And so that's the story with Yaldabaoth. But he is the creator of the material world that we live in. So
is that what the Gnostics or some people claim?
That's what the text says.
Okay, cool.
Now,
that's awesome.
I guess since we're on that topic, is that like for these Freemasons, to get back to the topic, I guess, is there any that hold that position? Is there any?
Oh yeah, Albert Pike talks about Yaldabaoth all the time in Morals and Dogma. He's all over that guy. If you read Morals and Dogma, Albert Pike, he's all over that guy because he claims, Ialdabaoth was the true God who set us free from the oppressor,
Is that what he said?
Yahweh or Jehovah. Yeah, he always claimed Ialdabaoth was good because he's the liberator of
Really?
knowledge. Yeah.
That's strange. What a strange
Mhm.
thing for him to. That's. I mean, so they're kind of it seems like they're like inverting the text from the ancients and like rewriting this
Absolutely.
stuff.
Well, they're inverting the idea. They're trying to tell you that Lucifer was the guy who set us free with knowledge, and
Yeah.
Jehovah's the oppressor. And honestly, as a researcher and a reader and truth seeker, they do have a point.
Yeah.
Jehovah did not want us to know this stuff. Lucifer did, so he can eventually enslave us with it.
And
It's
not
just
only that, I think you and I had this discussion one time. The character Lucifer, the figure,
Mhm.
the Latin word Lucifer. I did a whole video on this recently. If you trace back the usages and in all the classical literature going back as far back as, I don't know, I think Varro or Cato, some of those older 3rd century, 2nd century BC Roman Republic days. And then you
Right.
keep tracing the usages all the way up to Christianity to Jerome, 400 AD or 325 AD, whatever Jerome was, 4th century. You'll see Lucifer, he's just a minor god. He's sort of like an angel. He's a minor demonic figure. And all he does, and every single time he's mentioned, whether it's Varro, Ovid, Cicero, Virgil, Martial, Catullus, you name it. You name any Latin poet that we have preserved today. And when they mention Lucifer, all he does is bring the dawn every morning. That's it. There's not one source. This was eye-opening to me when I
Yeah, it's
found this
eye
out.
opening to me, right? That hearing you
There's not
hearing you talk
one
about it.
text, not one that says Lucifer did anything harmful or he was up to no good or
Right?
rebelled. And
I
it's
can't argue that.
yeah, so it's interesting. Hold on, let me just stop for 1 second for this super chat.
$5 super chat. Do they ever talk about Ahriman? Everything he says about root races is so Steiner-esque.
Hold that one thought for 1 second. It's a good question. Just to finish what I was saying, all of a sudden, when you get to Jerome, who's translating the Bible into Latin, when he gets to what happens is he gets to Isaiah. Isaiah 14 is the famous passage where in the Greek it says eos phoros, heos phoros, falls like lightning. And then in the Hebrew it says Hallel ben Shachor, which is
Yeah.
shining one son of dawn. So either dawn bringer in the Greek, shining one son of dawn in the Hebrew. And what he does is he translates it into Latin Lucifer. And then in his own commentary, he says, yeah, I know this is about the king of Babylon, but the king of Babylon is a representative of Satan. And then
I can see a difference. Yeah, I can see the difference.
you can see
Big
where he's
time.
going. And then
Oh,
he
yeah, big time.
introduces this idea into the Christian paradigm where Satan, and then you have Paul in one of his letters saying, Satan poses as an angel of light.
There you go.
So then you kind of put it in there, put 2 and 2 together, and Satan becomes Lucifer.
Yeah, I find it very fascinating how when you read the book of Enoch, how when Shemyaza and Azazel came down, when they taught magic and weapons of war, there was also an angel named Casdea who taught abortion. And when I came across that passage, that really kind of woke me up to the true intention of these first archons that came down. Because when you read Hindu mythology, you read the Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata and the Vedas and the Puranas. These fallen angels that they would call their Hindu gods, I like to call them fallen angels because that's exactly what they are. They manifest themselves in the exact same way that they do in the Bible. It's kind of like an intergalactic reality TV show with the Hindu mythology. Because let me give you an example. In the Hindu Puranas and the Vishnu Purana, they were talking about how every year they throw instead of how we have like a pig cookout, like a pig barbecue, like a pig roast, like you know, well, what they did in
Yeah.
India back in the day, they did that with horses because they didn't like to eat swine, so they did it with horses. So when they have these big old cookout ritual sacrifices with horses, like a big cookout, they talk about how these gods would come down from their sky cities. Like, give an example, they're like, oh yeah, so Shiva came down in his Vimana. He wanted to show off to Krishna how through his, new Vimana, he could pick up the princess from the West and bring her to the party and kind of show her off and bring her to the Sky City for a month or two. These gods literally use their technology to to one up each other to get the hottest princess of the human race in the land of
Wow.
India at the time. Yeah, it's
It sounds a
it's
lot
really
like
interesting.
it sounds a lot like what you find in Enoch.
Right. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a demonic intergalactic reality TV show. It's like, could you imagine being a fallen angel like, oh, all this technology, you're a god, and you're looking at your buddies like, yeah, I am a god.
Mm.
Keep that thought going. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a god, all right. Yeah. This sun is gonna eclipse with the moon in 3 days because I'm a god and I can tell I'm gonna do it. But they had the knowledge when that eclipse would be there. They didn't know, so they would do godly things with their knowledge and their technology. Be like, hey, buddy, yeah, check this out. Yeah, I am a god. Give me your daughter, king. And that's exactly what they would do. It's just
I'm sure there's a huge amount of that going on.
Yeah, I mean, what would you do if you were a fallen angel who lost to Michael and you were going to be sentenced here in a few thousand years to a banishment? You'd party a little bit yourself, You'd be like, yeah, I am a god. Yeah, I would do it.
Pink
Shit.
Beam asks, do they ever talk about Arhiman, which is the Zoroastrian sort of opposition? Everything he says about root races is so Steiner-esque.
Who's Steiner?
Rudolf Steiner.
Rudolf Steiner. Ahriman, was that the god of Zoroastrian mythology?
That's
Yeah.
the god of darkness, not the light bright, the opposite of the opposition
Okay,
to the
I
light.
don't know too much about Ahriman, but I did read the Quran 3 times and all 9 volumes of the Sahira Bakari, and I don't know much about Ahriman. I'm sorry, I failed that test just
This is
then.
another interesting thing about when you're doing comparative mythology, and if you're coming from a Christian background, you're told Lucifer, Lightbringer, bad, Dawnbringer, bad, and then you approach Zoroastrianism, and then you find out, oh, the good God of wisdom, the God who's all good, is the Lightbringer, and he's literally the Lightbringer. And the evil god, Ahriman, is the god of darkness and cold and underworld.
Well, keep in mind also they claim that Muhammad is the dog star, and anyone who knows the star of Sirius knows that that's the star of Lucifer. So to claim your prophet to be a representation of the dog star is very, very truth telling to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting because there's all these planets that get titled Lucifer.
Yeah.
And I mean, Venus is technically the traditional Lucifer, if you want to get
And that planet that was, that used to be, that is now the asteroid belt. The Masons claim in all their old, Masonic theology books that was the remnants of the war in heaven between Lucifer and Michael, because that planet of Tiamat or Morona, the planet Morona or Tiamat, that was through that planet's destruction that basically took 20% of Mars' surface into just an unbearable wasteland because of the impact it had. And there's scientific proof to back that up with the telescopes of Mars and the shootings and the telescope shots that they have. But pretty much in all Masonic theology, the asteroid belt is just a remnant of the war that Lucifer lost. And because he lost that war, this is what really fascinated me, is that David Wilcock, who recently shot himself, always talked about the rules of the Illuminati, how they have to live within the rules of the Illuminati, and they have to tell us what they're doing. Hence, Albert Pike's letter to Mazzini and all these Illuminati agendas like Agenda 2030, the Protocols of Zion. And it's very interesting how in the Secret Doctrine, they talk about how the Luciferian karma is galactic. It's a galactic law because Lucifer lost this war against the other faction, what they call the Pleiadian faction. He eventually teamed up. This is what's talked about in the Enuma Elish, how this Tiamat teamed up with the reptilians, the Greys, and the Scorpion Men, and this exiled human race. And it's very interesting how through that war that Lucifer lost, that karmic law, because he lost that war, he has to tell humanity this is how the karmic law was formed, like this Luciferian karmic law, how he has to tell us his move and how
That's
he's going
Wilcox,
to suppress us.
that's Wilcox reinterpretation of it.
Yeah, like Wilcock called it the rules of the Illuminati rules, but what it is, it's the Luciferian karma that these Luciferians live by. Because if you notice how these Luciferians like Jay-Z and Beyonce, who are really big into this Illuminati faction, how they give back to charity, all these children's charities. There's a rule in Luciferianism: whatever you take out, you got to give just as much or sometimes twice as much back. Luciferianism is all about balance.
Isn't that good though?
Satanism is
Wouldn't that
all
be good
about.
though? That'd be
Well,
good,
here's the
right?
thing. It's like Satanism is all consumption. Me, I, consume, consume, consume.
Sure.
But Luciferianism is all about balance, putting back what you
Right.
take out. So if you do a really powerful child sacrifice on the night of Samhain, you're gonna, it's by law that you have to give back within a charity of some kind. Like you'll find how
But
the
why would
biggest charity workers, like the Shriner
why would someone
Hospital.
want to sacrifice a child just to give to charity?
Well, you sacrifice the child to get your demonic power because through that
Okay.
ritual, you're asking for money,
They
power,
get
whatever it may
power
be.
from it. They gain
Yes, you
something
get
from it.
power
Gotcha.
from the ritual, but the power you obtain from that ritual, you must give back to the ether. So if you want to, summon your spirit again, you've paid that debt from the time before, and you give him back to the balance. And
Yeah.
that's the thing I learned when I was shown these 4 holy books of the 33rd degree, how important the balance of Metatron's cube is, the balance of it. And it really made me understand how a Christian Mason, they're supposed to be, because there's the eagle, the Luciferian is the air, represented by the air, because Lucifer is the prince of the air. The Quran, the Muslim side, is represented by fire, submit and consume all. Hindu is represented by the earth, gatekeepers of hollow earth and Shambhala. And then the Christian is represented by the water. The water is the sacrifice. So if you're going to choose the 33rd degree Masonic Christian path, you better be ready to give yourself up and your body for the balance, and you better be willing to die, because the balance of the cube is all that matters. And this is why 2 sovereign grand inspector generals of 2 different cities have my home address, because I told them, your lamb is ready forever. You want to seek your balance, because as a Christian Mason, I understand what my role is to the
That's kind
galactic
of the
order of the
idea of
cube.
Christianity. You got to be a martyr.
Yes,
That's what a real
you are a
Christian is.
sheep led to the slaughter. You
Yeah.
are supposed to die for your friend. You are supposed to give your life for
Yeah,
those you
most
do not
Christians
know.
today aren't real Christians because they're worried about politics and government and what
Yeah, it's
they're
just
worried about.
you have
Like,
to.
we need
Yeah.
to do this for the next generation. It's like you're supposed to be ready, get prepared for the end times. You're supposed to be prepared
Yeah.
to die for the carry your cross. I know, and it might, a Christian watching me say this, they might get annoyed, and it's like, you're not even a Christian, so what are you telling me for? Fair,
Right.
fair.
It's just
But I was a Christian, and this is part of the reasons why I stepped down, because I saw, in my personal opinion, I saw it's just, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on. It's not really. I mean, it's like 2,000 years have gone by.
Mhm.
Christians today are in power. They're not, in the beginning, in the early Christian days, they were the lowest of the low, living in
Yeah.
poverty,
Yeah.
not storing up money on earth. They were storing up riches in heaven. They were being spiritual, right? And that's just not the case anymore. That's just not
No,
how it
and
is.
I don't let that, just like the scripture says, do not conform that the time to the times that you're in. Don't conform with
Right.
society.
And they're all
Stick to
conformed.
my word. Yeah, and they're all
All
conforming.
the
And that's
churches are.
why, yeah, that's why at me, like, I can't even claim a church that I go to on a weekly basis. If I had to claim a denomination, I would claim Messianic because they keep the Sabbath. And sadly,
Really?
they do put the symbol of Metatron's cube on their church's symbol. You have the menorah, the hexagram, and the little Jesus fish. And
Really?
that's neither here
Where
nor
can I
there,
find it?
but
Can I find what that looks like? I'm just curious.
yeah, just look up the symbol of the Messianic church. You'll see the menorah, the Metatron cube, or the hexagram, the symbol of Zionism, and the little Jesus fish underneath. And not every, I was saying earlier, batting average. I look at a church and a denomination's batting average because no one bats 100%. No one's batting 100%. So whoever's got the least amount of errors and the best batting average, I
Talk
stick
about
to
this right
that
here.
one. Yeah, that's it right there.
So
Menorah, Metatron,
these are
cube, and fish.
Christians who keep the Jewish tradition.
Yeah, these are Jews for Jesus, or Christians that keep the Old Testament ways in the name of Yeshua. We recognize the Sabbath. We don't.
They
We
call
stay
them.
away from.
They actually use the word Yeshua instead of Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. They need to use the name Yeshua. Yeah, it's
Now,
just that would be the
are they
denomination that I would subscribe to if I had to choose. That would be the one I would
are
subscribe
they
to.
Zionists?
No,
Because I know
no,
you're
no, no.
staunchly anti-Zionist, from what I learned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like hashtag nuke Israel, get it trending.
yeah.
Like,
You know,
yeah, these are
I just
not
wanted to make sure
Zionists.
people
These people
understand
know this.
before they
Yeah,
get the
these
wrong impression.
people.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, these people are under the impression that Zionism has completely taken over the nation of Israel. These guys are on the side of the Hasidics. How they're not supposed to be there yet.
Got it. Got it. Yeah,
Yeah, they're not
I met
supposed
some
to be there.
Hasidics in Brooklyn, and it's pretty interesting because they're like, you would think
They
they're like
hate Israel.
they
They
hate it.
hate
Yeah.
it.
Oh my God, they are the worst critics of Israel on the planet.
The
Are
Hasidics
Israel.
in LA, they want to burn that piece of shit to the ground,
They
dude.
basically think like Orthodox Judaism is like Satanism, basically.
Yeah, they know what Zionism is. They know that Zionism is completely of the devil, and the Talmud is the most demonic thing that I've ever read next to the Quran. And
But
shout out,
those Hasidics are Talmud readers, though. So that's where I get like, it's confusing. It is confusing, you know.
I've met a lot of Hasidics who stick to the Torah. I've very rarely I've met a
Oh, really?
Hasidic
Okay,
that
I
go,
could be
oh
wrong.
yeah,
I could be wrong.
yeah. Haven't met a Hasidic that really, because it's all the Zionists that go with the Talmud. In my experience in LA,
Yeah,
so
because that's a lot. A lot of the text is about reclaiming the land, and that's kind of the core of Judaism, if you think about it. It's like
well, that's the
we lost our
prophecy.
land. We lost our land in 586 to the Babylonians. We got it back 70 years later. We lost it again in 70 AD, and then we haven't got. It's all about the land. It's all about the land.
Yeah, there's the prophecy
you know?
that marks the beginning of the latter days when the Jews, the tribe that has been brought to the land from underneath the sword, is going to return to Palestine. And
Yeah,
it's really sad what's going on today and how many people are backing up Israel's play. And it's just, man, what a rug pull by that president to just, man, what a rug pull.
honest, I don't. You know what? No offense. I mean this with no offense. I didn't see that as a rug pull at all because.
Well, I
think I still have the coin here. Yep, I do right here.
You got the coin?
I have a coin that I got. I got this. I think I got this in 2016 or something like that, a long time ago. And it's the coin. I can't really zoom in my camera, but if you can.
Yeah, I get the concept.
Can you see it? There's Trump. There's King Cyrus and Donald Trump's face. There's the temple. And then it says, fulfill 70 years, because this in 2016 was the 70 years of Israel. And then on the back it has a temple. It's called a temple coin. And it's if they were minting this in 2016, why should we be shocked that what's happening today? So to me, there was no rug pull. This was the plan from day one.
You know what really got my spidey senses tingling is that assassination attempt. I I printed out Project 2025 and Agenda 47 and read all 998 pages of it. And I tell you what, man,
What is that? Yeah, what?
it was Trump's Illuminati agenda, Project 2025
Oh,
and
yeah.
Agenda 47. Yeah. Once I read those front to back and tried to tell people what were in it, I've never been called so many names in my life. And
And what is it
I
all
was just
about?
relaying the message.
Is it all about like Israel and Iran and stuff?
Yeah, it's all about taking your free speech for Israel. It's all about making the ancient revenge of the Jesuits is in there to mandate Sunday law. That's on page 589. Never see, yeah, that really freaked me out to see the Jesuit revenge of the Catholic Church from the Protestant
And they're on
Reformation
the side of
within
the
let
they're on the
yeah.
same side as, oh my God, I didn't
Oh
know that.
yeah, and yeah, so I've never
Actually, I
seen the
should have known that. I
ancient
should have known that. That makes
revenge
sense.
of the Jesuits within government legislation. Never
Yeah.
seen that. And page 589 of Project 2025, right there. They got to get, and the whole thing with the UFO disclosure, that was in Project 2025. His whole thing with making Iran an enemy through his Abraham Accords, that was in
What do you
page 289 of Project
what do you
2025.
think about them creating, what is it called? Project Blue Beam. It's like one of the conspiracy theories where they're
Yeah,
gonna
this
make
is Project Bluebeam.
A fake Messiah to usher in the third temple.
Well, that's
Now
sadly,
this is gonna sound crazy for some people, but like
no.
imagine if someone really powerful and really crazy had the technology to sort of through a magician way, sort of through a sleight of hand, a magician way, make it seem like there was a Messiah performing miracles. Now I don't know
Yeah.
how they would. I don't know how they would do it. Whether it involved actual people, whether it involved some sort of technology, AI, holograms. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. But if this might sound insane to some people, but if you really actually think about it, it's not that crazy that a government that really wants power would try something like this, especially a psychopathic government. Just
Well,
saying.
not only a
I wouldn't put
psychopathic
it past
government.
psychopathic government.
Well, that psychopathic government you're talking about bases all their moves on the prophecies of the Bible. They're
That's
such
what I'm,
Luciferian psychos. Their whole plan has to match these prophecies because according to these Luciferians, if you talk to them, their whole purpose is to follow these prophecies to give their god Lucifer a second chance to fight Michael. And I find it very fascinating right here in the Dead Sea Scrolls how when we talk about prophecies and how they have to follow them here in the Dead Sea Scrolls in the book of Baruch, they talk about a false alien invasion, but they call it the attack of the Shadim. And the Shadim is a very ancient Hebrew word for demons because they know what they are. And it's very interesting how in the book of Second Baruch in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they talk about this little event called the attack of the Shadim when, from the stars, the demons appear. And I think that's the prophecy. And actually, I know it's the prophecy that the Masons are going to follow because they talked about it one time in a book study at the Philosophical Research Society, which is the private library of Manly P. Hall, the 33rd degree.
but
And
I'm gonna say though is that
mhm,
they think Michael's on their side, and they
right,
think Iran is Satan. So
yeah,
it's almost like whoever it's all like there's these different perspectives. This is why I just dropped the whole Abrahamic thing altogether, man, because
yeah,
they all think they're the good guys.
yeah,
And that's kind of
all
like it
three of
makes
them.
it complicates things, don't you think? Because
Yeah, I mean, the Muslims think they're the
Israel
good
does
guys.
think they
Yeah,
are legit. They think what they're doing was laid down by the prophets, and that they have a right to do this because X, Y, Z. And they would argue that Michael's on their side.
hmm yeah, they would argue that. And I just find it very fascinating how everything's playing out and how people are waking up to this deception. But here's the trickery of it: their whole plan, a part of their great scheme of plans, is to expose themselves in the process. A lot of people tend to forget that. The
Mm.
Illuminati, they have to expose, a part of their plan is to expose themselves. And they make this extremely clear in the book of the Theosophical Society called The Externalization of the Hierarchy, how the year 2025 is the year they begin their externalization of their hierarchy. So I think this whole
Really?
Epstein bullshit is 100% their externalization of telling the world, yeah, we got your children on lock. Yeah, we got, we take your children. That's the whole backbone and premise of Luciferian ritual is children. That's worth more to these guys than gold. Yeah, there's a book right there. And that book talks
Ellis
about how
Bailey? Is that a
2020.
Freemason?
Yeah. She was a part of the Theosophical Society, who I believe married a Freemason.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're all
She
pretty much linked together with each other. They're all
oh,
part of
yeah. The Theosophical, the Rosicrucian,
Hollywood.
the,
She was living in Theosophical Institute Hollywood. She was
Hollywood,
contacted
she
by
said, was contacted.
by a Tibetan master, Jal
These,
Kul, who
yeah,
requested her
Dwal
help in
Cool. That's a
writing
big
to.
figure.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
These are
Dwal Cool
so.
is very big figure to
This
them.
is interesting because it shows you we're talking late 19th, early 20th century,
Yes.
and they're influencing pop culture.
Yeah, to this day, and this is the society that completely has the mental grab over the United Nations, and Lucifer Publishing or Lucis Publications, which is the publishing arm of the United Nations. That's from the Theosophical Society, so their whole ideology transpired and trickled into the United Nations, and I just think it's very important for people to understand that a part of this plan is to expose themselves. So when people talk about this great awakening, how we're going through this age of information, make no mistake, the age of awakening, this age of information, this was all controlled and started by them. Make no mistake about that, folks. This didn't happen by happenstance. They wanted you to know about Epstein. They wanted you to know about the child network. What I'm kind of debating is that if they will tell you all the full truth of the child network and how this directly goes and ties directly in to the Greada Treaty that we made back in the early 50s, how this whole Epstein network of children is
What is it called?
satisfying for the Greada Treaty.
How do you spell that?
Greada. Greada Treaty. That's the whole purpose of this child
Outer
network.
Space Treaty?
Yeah, we
Because
trade our children for technology.
Is this? Am I on the right? Is this it right here? From this right here? Am I looking at the wrong thing? I looked up Greada Treaty. This came right up.
No, it's not from 67. It's from
Okay.
early, I believe it's 1954, from President Dwight D. Eisenhower. It's a deal to trade children for technology. This is where we got fiber optics for Wi-Fi.
Wow.
This is where we got nanotech for the COVID shots. This is where we got a lot of our tech, is through this deal of the Greada Treaty to trade human beings for technology, to basically
Is this
hand
related to
ourselves over
UFO?
like cattle. What's that?
Because I'm just looking at AI. It says this is a popular UFO conspiracy theory claiming that in 1954, Dwight Eisenhower held a secret meeting at Edwards Air Base with extraterrestrial race known as the Greys. Is this what you're talking about?
It's exactly what I'm talking about.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Wow.
but here's the full story of it. At
Who's the
first, it
majestic?
was
Okay, go ahead, tell the story. Yeah.
well. At first, they sent this is what happened when we lit off the nukes. Apparently, through the cosmic web, because apparently space travel is like roads in the street. You can't just drive across country or you're going to get caught up. There's certain pathways in the universe that you have to travel to get to other parts of the galaxy. It's called the cosmic web. And through this cosmic web, after we lit off these bombs, it sent an energy frequency to these aliens to be like, okay, this species just figured out how to split the atom. Now we have to intervene with them so they don't kill themselves. So the story goes how the Pleiadians showed up first and they offer, give us your nukes and we'll give you we'll give you spiritual enlightenment and we'll tell you what, we'll help your planet out if you turn off your nukes. That was one option. The second option is through these grays, give us your kids and we'll give you technology. Now, if I was Lucifer, if I was the dark side, I would do the same thing. I would send the good guys, the guys who look like good guys first, look like humans, all like, hey, we come in peace. Just turn off all your weapons and, we'll teach you about spirituality and help your planet. And we'll, you turn off your weapons, we'll help you. If they reject that, then just said go to the plan B. Give it, you want technology, give us your kids. If I was Lucifer, that's exactly what I would do. I would give them good cop, bad cop. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
Send the Pleiadians first, the good cop, then send the reptilians and the Greys, the bad cop. That's a good play.
And is this, and I think you told me this before, but I just wanted the audience to be on the same page. These are ideas that are seriously taken in Freemasons, high level Freemasons.
This is what they believe.
Wow.
Yeah, like they believe what you think is God, whether it be Krishna, Jesus, Jehovah, it's aliens. It's nothing
Different
more,
planet.
nothing less. There's nothing angelic, spiritual, magical. No, they're just fucking
It
aliens.
just came from
Okay.
the heavens, aka
Yeah, they
space.
came from the heavens, and this is all aliens. And when they talk about they left science and technology and agriculture, what they don't tell you is what the aliens truly left is the brotherhood, to the secrets, to teach humanity about, to have a secret society to run everything else. Because these people or these things that came down, these aliens, they weren't of the good side. These are the fallen angels that lost the war, who nestled here in the core of the planet. Like, this is what the Masons believe. I'm not giving you some like, if everyone just read the Masonic books, we wouldn't even have a debate about it, or I wouldn't even have to explain this. It's kind of like telling a Catholic, if you just read your Bible front to back, you wouldn't be worshiping on Sunday, or like, in the images. So if people just read the Masonic books, they would just know that what they believe is that Lucifer, or what they call Sanat Kumra, who is in Hollow Earth, through him is the control, and what is the representation, that symbol of the Sadducees with the pole, the two snakes and the wings. That was the symbol of the brotherhood before the demiurge of the flood of Atlantis. And we see it today with the silver pole of society with the golden wings of the gods. You have the red snake or the red dragon to the west, and the golden snake or the golden dragon to the east. And then the city block of London, what do you think all those red dragons are everywhere? Like, where all international commerce is based in the square block of London. That's the Federal Reserve is nothing compared to the square block of London. That's where real money gets shipped around, not the New York Stock Exchange. The square
Really?
block of London, yeah, that's where real money goes down.
Huh.
That's money to like fund the United Nations, money to fund
So you think
Israel. Like,
England's the real power, not United States?
England's the real financial power. The
Really?
financial power where the red dragon sits, that's the real financial power. That's, if you know money, you know the power of the square block of London, and how like that is like the Federal Reserve is powerless compared to the square block. It's where the
Are we
Federal Reserve
talking?
came from.
Are we talking like the royal family, the king, the
We're talking like
princes?
with the Rothschilds and the Morgans. That's why you think they all live in, England.
Yeah, that's
No,
true.
do you think they just live there by happenstance? No.
They
The
have.
most powerful families in the world, they
Yeah, they
live
probably
in
have some
London.
legal clauses that sort of protects their status or something. I'm guessing. I'm not a
I
legal
wouldn't
expert.
doubt it for a second.
Yeah, if they
You
move to the
know,
United States, they'd probably be under our constitution. That's no good, no bueno. If they stay over
well,
there, they got some old European legal loopholes that keeps them in some sort of, you know what I mean? I'm just thinking out loud here. I don't know.
well, yeah. I mean, anyone who knows what the IRS is, it's nothing more than a British collection agency. Look at Article 6209 of the IRS code.
Because
Tells you everything.
king of England right now, he's technically blood related to the what was the ruling dynasty, the Habsburgs, right?
Well, the Habsburgs were a ruling family. I mean, they're the real. I heard the real family behind the throne of England, the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha bloodline. You know, and be that as it may, it's just so horrific. You know, how would you feel? You know, if your king and queen were just incested by generations. It's just,
Yeah.
it's
Oh, yeah,
just
it
so
says right here,
weird.
King Charles II, according to consensus discussed, is descended from Joanna of Austria, a daughter of the Habsburg Emperor Ferdinand I. And then
Yeah,
you
the
can trace
Habsburgs were
that
so
line back. You can
incested.
trace that line back to Charlemagne, pretty much. So
Yeah, that's
these Holy
same.
Roman. That's a Holy Roman. That's the Holy Roman Empire I'm talking about. That's
Yeah,
like
it's
that's
very interesting how all the
they're
presidents
still
and the
around.
kings. Yeah, and you know, it's either Charlemagne or King Edward the
Right
First
in 100
that
and left.
these presidents descend from, and it's no coincidence how Trump is a direct descendant, and Hillary Clinton. They're both direct descendants of Edward the First, who, you know, who is he? He was Longshanks in Braveheart. You know, it's just I don't think it's coincidental how Trump to this day is a part of the Merovingian bloodline of the European nobility. You know, I think
Let's
that's
do this.
very,
No,
very
no, I meant that I
non-coincidental.
knew that too. Actually, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Let's do this. So the King of England, directly related to Ferdinand I. Watch. Let's see what happens if we just keep going. Predecessor. Let's see. I'm just curious if we just keep going, how far back our current King of England can take us to. Like, and he's still the King of England right now. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we keep going, we keep going, we keep going. Boom, boom. Like you could just go back far.
Yeah,
And
these
just,
bloodlines are deep, dude. Like
yeah.
it's really fascinating who's related to each other and who's a descendant of who. It's just like the Bush family, descendant of Godfrey de Bouillon, you know, just Godfrey de Bouillon, the first king of Jerusalem. That's just I don't think that's coincidental at all. You know, here comes the Bush family for, you know, their second crusade during the Iraq war, you know.
Yeah, and the what were they called? Not the Longobards, the Normans, the Norman Kingdom. Norman
Never
Kingdom.
heard of that.
Really? The Normans? They were pretty
Mhm.
much they have that. But if you look at they controlled all of England, most of
Wow.
Ireland, Scotland, half of France, parts of Germany, North
Yeah.
Africa, southern Italy, Sicily, northern Turkey, and all the way down to Syria, Cyprus, and even like Judea.
That's crazy how spread out that is. That reminds me of in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the 29th book of Acts, when Paul goes up to the island of Britannia that he was told from the emperor, saying, "Hey, I think one of your tribes are lost up there in the in this land of Britannia." So he goes up there and finds out this descendant of the tribe of Dan is still up there, which became the Druids. It's just really like, wow, dude, like these tribes of Israel really dispersed and really left their mark.
You can see even the Canary Islands, they have some like
Wow.
we're talking during the Crusades, like that
Yeah.
type of period. Look at they're even
Wow.
like controlling part of the whole or part of the Greek Empire at the time.
Yeah.
So like I'm just pointing out this is old. This is like the power
I've
that powers
never
that
even heard
be.
of that empire. That's
Yeah, the
crazy,
Normans, man.
dude.
No joke. No joke. And then I think the Normans are related to the Merovingians, like you mentioned.
Right.
I think. I'm pretty sure. So I think if you go back, I think if there's like a Norse, Franks, Gallo-Romans, see that's what they're related to. Yeah.
Mhm.
But anyways, let's go back to like how you said you infiltrated them. Tell us about the infiltration, stuff like that. I haven't forgot the super chats, by the way. I know we left off on Bakken, so I'll get to that. But I want to we keep going off on tangents, which is fine.
Yeah, it's been 2 hours. We've been going off on tangents for 2 hours.
Yeah, let's get you to finish off on that, and then we'll finish the super chats and we'll close it out.
Yeah, well, keep in mind, I had a lot of help. Fritz Springmeier, author of Bloodline to the Illuminati, he was, on my phone with me every other day, talking about, what books to read, what to look out for, what to do. And it came with a lot of, I had to start with the King James, read that front to back. And before I moved down to LA, I went into one of the Masonic lodges in my local town, Tacoma. And I just simply asked them, what books would you require for me before I join Masonry? And they pull out the stack. They're like, yeah, read Secret Teachings of all the Ages, read your King James, read the Quran. Like they had this list of, this list of books, and I just read those. And through reading those books and with the help of Fritz Springmeier, it was a very delicate process because holy I was scared, man. Like I was really scared. And as over time went and I kind of got comfortable with it, got into the groove with it, and understood how the monthly state meetings work and how the rituals work and what I'm supposed to do. Like every time you speak in a state meeting, you go, worshipful master of the lodge, may I address the lodge? You have to do certain things. And being the son of Larry Abraham really helped. That really got me a long way too. Because I'll tell you now, if I was just some Joe Schmo from the street who didn't have a lineage that didn't mean anything, they would have never, messed with me. But being the son of Larry Abraham, and even the Sovereign Grand Inspector General of LA said he had his dad's book on my shelf. It's just I really got lucky with a lot of things. And because I got to the level and the knowledge I achieved, I have no other purpose in my life than to bring it all to you, to make people understand why we are bringing in so many immigrants from certain nations. It's funny. I'll give you an example. Here in Texas, up on the city of Dallas, which is the Masonic hotspot, it's between the 32nd and 33rd degree northern latitude parallel. And that city is where it's the only city in Texas where they show the four holy books, because after 2001, when the towers fell, I heard from a lot of different Masons that you didn't have to travel to DC to see these four holy books anymore. They released them to certain cities like Phoenix, Dallas, Los Angeles, Boston, Chicago, like certain Masonic hotspot cities in the nation. And up in Dallas, it's a very big Masonic hotspot, along with New Orleans, next state over. But Dallas, if you look at the JFK Memorial, it's an open Metatron cube, and there's a reason why they're building so many Muslim mosques and Indian temples in Dallas currently right now. They're bringing in the Indians and the Muslims because of if you understand Masonry at its highest levels and what the four holy books are, you have Christianity, Muslim, Hindu, and then there's the hidden one that they don't want you to know about, which is the Luciferian 7-7, Aleister Crowley faction. But if you understand why there's such an influx of Muslims and Hindus coming into this country, it's because it's because of the denominations of Masonry and the four different religions that entail the highest echelons of the 33rd degree of Masonry. So if you understand why this migration is happening, along with the protocols of the Elders of Zion, you understand what they're preparing for, this new world order to bring all these different races in that happen to do with these Masonic religions, with all these Muslim Africans going up into Europe and all these Hindus.
The end goal for that? Is it to homogenize everything, sort of?
Yeah, Masons are internationalists.
All the multiplicities of people, so there's just one kind of cattle.
Yeah, Masons are big internationalists. That makes
a lot of sense, actually, if you think about it from a globalist perspective. If you're a globalist, if you're a true globalist, you're looking at the world as a chessboard.
Yes,
you're going to want to move around populations and mix. You're going to want to homogenize the whole earth.
Yeah, Lucifer doesn't like borders, man. Lucifer hates borders. Like people need to
especially
understand that God wanted to separate people. Lucifer wants to unite everyone. That's what his
really
whole purpose is.
interesting.
Yes.
Well, because what was I going to say? Especially if you're thinking of leaving, if you're thinking of extraterrestrial, if you're thinking outside space, if you're thinking of like going to the stars, then you're no longer thinking of the Earth as in like these are different peoples. You're thinking of
No,
one people.
collectivism.
Yeah,
Yes.
that
Yes.
makes
Now
sense.
you get it. Now you're getting it, dude. I'm glad you see that. Now
So
I'm glad
that's
you
kind
get
of the
it.
goal, is what you're saying, is to
Yes.
sort of unify the world under one sort of
Unify it.
perennialist, one world religion. That's the end goal.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Unify it. No borders, dude. Like
No borders. Open
Lucifer
it all up.
hates borders. Yeah. Open it all up because Lucifer always said, out of many, there is only one. And that's what the statue says on the top of Congress. That statue, look into the east in Latin, it says, out of many, there is
Now,
only
Albert
one.
Pike, was he, because he comes off to me as very conservative. If I'm not mistaken, he was even associated with Confederates. He was a
Yeah.
leading. So how does is he a global he's not trying to homogenize the world, is he?
Well, he was a big globalist, man, because globalists believe in racism and one race is better than the other. Now,
Sure.
one group of people should stand above the rest. So he was big into slavery and the whole, big Democrat ideology at the time, because
Yeah, because they were
enslaving
the
people.
Democrats were the Confederates back then.
Yeah, the
Yeah, yeah.
Democrats were the people enslaving everybody. He was a big time, Democrat, because Democrats, they're universalists too. They're communists. Like the whole communist idea fits right along with the whole globalist. Excuse me, the whole globalist ideology.
Yeah,
Global
but
communism.
what
That's
I'm
what they
wondering is
want.
what changed between Albert Pike and the Freemasons of today. Like, how do you go from this guy wanting,
Some cracked out Santa Claus.
yeah, this guy is like hardcore, uh,
Hardcore.
hardcore. I would say libertarian, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually got invited to Dallas a couple months ago to meet the man who's currently in that seat of being the sovereign grand inspector general of the southern jurisdiction of the United States. I actually got offered to go meet that guy in Dallas because keep in mind, there's four top 33rd degrees here in America who are the grand sovereign inspector generals of the entire country of Freemasonry here in the United States. Four of them.
Hmm.
And the reason why there's four, I think we've explained it far enough already, but if you weren't here
Yeah.
halfway through it, it's the four holy books and the four different denominations and the four different elements it represents and the four different building blocks of the galaxy, whether it be hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, and the other one. I can't remember all four because I'm not a scientist.
They
But
just
it's
like
also
number
with your
four.
DNA, your guanine, your thionine, and your cytidine. Four is the building blocks of everything. And when you become a 33rd degree Mason, first degree neophyte of the Illuminati, you must base your mentality on the four. This is why they gave you four different alien races. They didn't tell you about one, three, two, or five. They gave you four different alien races because Masonically, you're supposed that's four is the building block to all mentality into every train of thought of a so what better way to tell humanity about aliens and to give them four different races. And I have this on my Twitter, how I coincided the four different alien races perfectly to the four different holy books of the four holy books of 33rd degree masonry, how the insect people, there's actually a whole book in the Quran dedicated in Surah 27 called the Book of the Ants. And
Oh
how
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
great, yeah, and how the great aliens are talked about in the Hindu religion as these gods who live beneath the water and suppress humanity and take us in our sleep. It's just really fascinating how these four different alien species perfectly coincide with the four holy books of the 33rd degree. And it's no coincidence because the 33rd degrees are the guys running all this disclosure. They're the ones running this whole war with Iran. And make no mistake, Iran's in on it too. Those Quran sultans, man, they're right there with the top Luciferian Zionists. This is all just a show, because up in outer space, when they're on that, when they're up in the stars on the International Space Station, they're all friends. They're all like up there, they're all friends, buddy, buddy. But down here, they got to put on pro wrestling and make you seem like there's a conflict when there really isn't. When they're all, in reality, they're in the changing room in the back doing blow and having a good time. But out in this, out in the show, you gotta wrestle and make it
Sure.
look like there's a fight. It's
Look at
just
this. Solomon's forces of jinn, humans, and birds were rallied for him, perfectly organized. And when they came across a valley of ants, an ant warned, "Oh, ants, go quickly into your homes, so Solomon and his armies do not crush you unknowingly."
yes.
So
So there
Solomon
you have a
smiled in
speech from
amusement
an
at her
ant.
words and prayed, "My Lord, inspire me to always be thankful for your favors, which you have blessed me and my parents with, and do good deeds." And yeah, that's a
Yeah, so here
on
we
point.
have an actual book of alien ant insectoids actually
You have
speaking.
you have ants, you have birds, and you have humans, and what else?
The jinn.
The jinn, yeah.
Yeah, so Solomon would march with these demons in these brazen vessels. This is what the whole story of Aladdin
Humans,
is,
jinn, birds,
with
and ants. Yeah, there's 4 of them. That's interesting. I never even thought I
yeah.
never noticed that.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's demons like to take the shape of animals, just like Jesus said, like in Luke 10:17, when they said, "Hey, Jesus, the demons flee from us when we say your name." He goes, "Yes, I give you the power to tread on serpents and scorpions." And then it says in the Egyptian, not the Egyptian, but the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Atlantean, he said that these reptilians walk amongst us, and only a sound of a frequency can bring down their shapeshift and reveal their real form. And here we have Jesus saying, "Through my name, I give you the power to tread on serpents and scorpions." Because I can't find a ancient religious text that tells you the frequency to fight these things. I've looked in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, every ancient Hindu book.
The
The
Asclepius cult was given the power. Asclepius had the power to antidote the venom in the. They had. I don't know if you ever heard of Epidaurus.
It's Greek
Epidaurus?
mythology, right?
Yeah, you ever heard
Sounds
of
like
it?
it.
I was at this city myself. I went here. Let me show you what I mean. So Epidaurus is a city in Greece. This right here, Epidaurus. And when I was there, that's where it's located on this side. And when I was there, I was actually at this theater too. There's an
God, that
inscription.
looks so fucking cool.
Oh yeah, this place. There's an
God,
inscription
that
right
looks
here.
so cool.
That's the Abaton. There's an inscription right over here somewhere. I don't know if they have the picture of it. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. That's the god Asclepius. And he holds a rod with a serpent entwined around it.
Right.
Like
Oh
Moses-
yeah,
Moses.
now I've heard. Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, okay.
And
Yeah, that's on the back of every ambulance.
There's inscriptions at this site. You can read it with your own eyes if you can read Greek, where it says that people were given power to be they're not dying from being bit by serpents. Their limbs were growing back. They're getting their eyesight back. They're healing people. People are coming back from the dead. All that stuff.
Huh.
So you ask if there's anything out there.
Yeah.
There is.
Okay, cool. I stand corrected. That's dope, dude.
It is.
I love how you're so passionate about your Greek faith, because I gotta be honest
Hell
with you.
yeah, man.
As
I
a
love my
Christian,
Greek.
dude, I as a Christian, I highly respect other people who don't believe in my religion but have a passion for theirs. And
Sure.
I just think it's wonderful, because as a Christian, I'm supposed to just pray that you come over to my side one day. I'm not
Yeah, I know.
supposed to beat you
I
over
hear.
the head with a Bible and tell you that you're wrong. That's so sad that so many people do that. Like, try to beat you over the head with scripture and tell you that you're wrong. It's like, dude, if you know Christianity, you're supposed to just pray for them and
Sure.
just be happy that they have a. I'm just stoked that people have a belief in a higher power these days. People
That's
have
fair.
become so egotistical and so self-centered in their own universe. It's cool
No, we
when
can
people can
coexist.
humble themselves.
It's all it's fun.
It's all good, dude.
And I just wanted to show you a couple of examples. So this is one of the steles. This is Abaton. You just saw that.
Yeah.
So it's you just saw the ruins of the Abaton. It says
Cool.
Cleo was with child for 5 years. She had been pregnant for 5 years.
Wow.
She came as a suppliant to the god and slept in the Abaton. As soon as she left it, she got outside the sanctuary, she bore a son, who immediately after birth washed himself at the fountain and walked about with his mother. In return for his favor, she inscribed on her offering, "Admirable is not the size of the tablet, but the divine." And that Cleo carried the burden in her room for 5. So this is the inscription that's in Epidaurus.
Cool.
And I'll just give you a couple more. It says, let's just go to a random one. I'll just go. Alcides of Helias, this blind man saw a dream. It seemed to him that the god came up to him and with his fingers opened his eyes, and that he first saw the trees in the sanctuary. At daybreak, he walked out sound. Okay. Lyson Hermione, a blind boy, while wide awake, he had his eyes cured by one of the dogs in the sanctuary and went away healed. Look at this one. Heraeus of Mytilene, he had no hair on his head, but an abundant growth on his chin. Sounds like me, actually. He was ashamed because he was laughed at by others. He slept in the sanctuary. The god, by anointing his head with some drug, made his hair grow.
That reminds me of the Soma drink in the Veda's house. Soma.
Yep.
Not only did it get you high and see the gods, it healed you and grew your hair out.
Yep. Soma was a healer. Yeah. And then same with the Kaikion. Let's do one more.
Cool.
Climbing
I love
this
it how you're
Argo,
so passionate about this.
paralyzed
This is so
in
cool.
body, he came to the Abaton, same location we just saw, and he slept there and saw a vision. It seemed to him that the god wound a red woolen fillet around his body and led him for a bath a short distance away from the sanctuary to a lake, which the water was exceedingly cold. When he behaved in a cowardly way, Asclepius said he would not heal those who were too cowardly for that. But those who came to his sanctuary full of hope that he would do not harm such a man, but would send him away, when he woke up.
Josh tell the story of the 4 holy books. Killing it.
Nice. When he woke up, let me just finish the sentence, and took a bath and walked out unhurt. So there's just a whole bunch of these. And this is not papyri that are passed down.
Right.
It's not like some scribe somewhere wrote this down. These are inscribed these are tablets inscribed on stone from this location, dating to like 280 BC. Yeah. So
I love it how passionate you are about your Greek faith. I think it's so fucking cool, dude.
Yeah, man. I was at this location and it was like world-changing stuff, dude.
Wonderful. I just love people who are so passionate about their God, dude.
I should say this. I should say this. When I was in Greece, I was expecting to find a war between the pagans and the Christians, because the Orthodox Christians are sort of in charge in Greece. Greek is a mostly Orthodox country. They love their Christianity. I was there during Easter, bro. This is an icon right here.
I bet that was a major event.
He even gave me this too. He gave me holy wax right here. Where is it? I have it here somewhere. Where did I put it? It's over here somewhere. I have it like I usually keep it right around here. I don't know why. I just leave it here. Where did I put it?
Holy wax, you said. I've never heard of that.
He gave me holy wax. I have it here somewhere. I don't know where I did with it. But the wax, wait, where is my wax? It's over here somewhere. Here it is.
Where's my wax?
Here it is. So this is another icon, right? It's got the Virgin Mary. This is wax from Jerusalem. See this little cloud of wax?
That cross on my shelf the cross on my behind me is from Jerusalem too. Yeah.
Yeah. So on Easter, there's a high priest, the Hierophant. He travels, I believe by boat from Athens to Jerusalem at midnight on Easter morning. Exactly on midnight Easter morning. They light a torch. A torch, And then all of the high priests from different cities in the Orthodox Church, they take their candles and they light from that torch and they bring it. So this is actually wax from Jerusalem that was brought to
Wow.
Athens when I was
That's
in
cool.
Athens. And the reason why I'm
That's
talking
cool.
about this is because when I went to Greece, I was expecting to see, because I'm the people who invited me there, who I stayed with on a compound, a pagan compound in Arcadia, which is the land of Pan. It's the last pagan holdout from antiquity. It's the only place that never turned Christian forever. It stayed
That's
pagan
cool.
forever. It's known as
Kept its pagan roots.
the reason
I'm
why
sure
they
you could
call
learn
it
a lot
pagan.
there.
The reason why they call it pagan, paganos means rustic. So
Okay.
Arcadia is the rustic, rural kind of like country. Anyways, I stayed with them, and I went there to go film and interview and talk about, because the one guy got arrested for building a temple to Pan. He got arrested by the Orthodox Church. So I went there. I went there to go film and talk to this guy about this battle that's going on between the Christians and the pagans. But that's not what I found. What I actually found was, yeah, he did get arrested. Yeah, there are some battles. They're not getting along fully, but they're united by being Greek. And I was
There
very
you go,
surprised.
man.
It was a wake-up call. It was like,
Yeah.
I was jealous. We don't have that in America.
Yeah.
In
It's
America,
a lot
we're
of
not
division
united
here.
by
Yeah.
our people. We're all divided by politics and
Yeah.
shit. When I went to Greece, I saw something that I've never seen in my entire life, where there was a people who were united by their Greekness, even though
Regardless
they
of
were
their
pagan,
faith, dude.
even though they were pagan and they were Christian, and they didn't like each other when it comes to
They
those
still
topics.
respected each other, though.
They respected, and I was very shocked by that. So I just wanted to bring that up.
We're losing that here in America big time. See, I'm gonna say what Sneeko said the other day. I don't care what your faith is. I just care if you're a good person, dude. Like if
Yeah.
you respect people, if you humble yourself before a higher power, if you treat people with respect, you don't name call. Like this Jew hate everywhere is just getting so bad, dude. And
Yeah.
I'm glad people are getting burned out on because it's getting really boring.
Yeah, it's like okay, it's
boring
one
as
thing,
shit.
It's one thing to oppose the Israeli government, Zionism, what's happening in the world, people in charge, people with power. It's another thing to just hate Jews for no reason.
For no reason at all,
like
dude.
I'll have on
Yeah, dude. Just
Esoterica.
because, yeah.
Esoterica's a great dude, man. I've had him on my channel multiple times, and there's people in the comments going, "Oh, what the fuck, dude? Why are you having on this?" I'm not even gonna repeat it. And it's like,
dude. It's
what
just
the fuck, dude? Like, seriously, you just hate him because he's Jewish? Really? That's it? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
It is to use a lack of a better term. It's low IQ anti-Semitism. It is.
Yeah, it's just, I don't care if you're a Muslim, a Jew. I just want you to be a good person and respect people, bro. Like,
I think
that's
it's
the whole
basic shit, The law of Zeus,
basic
man.
humanity, dude.
The law of Zeus, man. That's what it is. It's called the xenia. It's called the law of hospitality. It's an ancient Greek going back to the Bronze Age. That's what it is. It literally
if I
means
was the Illuminati, dude. Yeah, I
it
just
doesn't-
think what
it
there's
doesn't
going
mean
on
open up your borders for everybody, but it means respect the stranger because they might be a god. And they show this in the Odyssey too. But that is a real ancient trope that you find in Homer and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. And to close it out, I will say, just like you said, dude, it doesn't matter your religion. It just matters if you're a good person. And I think we have really missed the message with, I have a dream too, where people won't be, judged by their color of their skin, but the content of their character. I think we've really forgotten that recently. And and I don't think, but I know a lot of people are getting paid money to cause all this hate and division. There's more money in hate and division than there is in peace and unity. Trust me on that. Like,
yeah,
that's what the whole military industrial complex is based off of. Conflict.
Absolutely.
All
right, we'll finish these super chats off real quick.
Cool,
and
man.
we'll get out of here. Bach and Pan, thank you for the super chat. What do Freemasons make of the French Black Madonna?
I don't know what that is, dude.
No idea.
There's American Masonry, then there's European Masonry, and I have yet to get to New Orleans to get a feel of what European French Freemasonry is all about because it's way more hardcore. And I've been told by my friend who I currently study, he's a 33rd himself, who I do book studies with. He wants to bring me to New Orleans to meet the High Council, and I really hope I get over there one day because there's something about New Orleans and French European Freemasonry that's just way more hardcore than
Yeah.
American Masonry, and I have
Oh,
yet
that's what
to
I was
touch
trying
on
to.
that.
When you were talking earlier, if you might have saw me looking on my computer, looking around, I was trying to find a video that I have somewhere on my computer. And I don't know what I did with it. I have too many files now. And it was basically a PSA. It was a German, it was like 1942, I think it was. Whatever year, maybe 1940. It was the year that Germany annexed France.
Okay.
Whatever year that was, early in World War II.
42, 43, I believe.
yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
42.
And
Yeah,
the
42.
Germans played a commercial on the televisions of all the German houses talking about how they just took over France, and they found when they went to the French like government buildings, it was all Freemasonic, like what do you call it?
Alexander Victor
Paraphernalia.
4,410 dropped two
Memorabilia, paraphernalia.
And
Yeah.
they showed it too.
jurisdiction do you speak
Yeah.
from?
France is, yeah, I was seeing pictures of downtown Paris, and there's Freemasonic square and compasses carved in stone everywhere in Paris. Like, it's pretty
Yeah.
interesting how the top Freemasons of America have to go to France to receive high level membership, kind of like what Shaquille O'Neal did, or not Shaquille, but Jay-Z did over in France. It's
I
really
found the video.
interesting.
I found the videos on YouTube. You got to see this.
Okay.
No. Hold on, I'll get to these super chats in a second. So it's called The Looting of the Lodges. And there's a clip in here that I just want to show the audience actually. It's from I think it's right here.
One would think Zara Larson doesn't have to think about money,
No.
but we found out she's
Unmute.
pretty thrifty.
Thanks.
When it's hot,
It was a great success in Paris, and then it traveled to Bordeaux and other cities around France.
This is it.
That's old school.
La franc-maçonnerie à l'exemple de celle de Paris. En foule dense, les visiteurs ont pu, après de
The
l'entrée,
Sphinx at the entrance, the manifestation of the four holy books, lion, ox, eagle, man. They put that right at the entrance. Very interesting.
Yeah, so this is in French. There was another one that was in German. I think it's over here.
Because that Sphinx is the physical manifestation of 33rd degree Freemasonry. 100%.
Yeah, there was
And
another.
it's funny
video
how they
that
put it
was in
right at the
German.
entrance. They put it at the entrance of the 33rd degree lodge in Washington D.C. But the only trick is they have a Sphinx there at the entrance with no wings, because when you come out of the Masonic lodge, you achieve your wings. They want you to choose the 777 Egyptian path, because that's the New
Yeah,
World Order path.
we'll keep playing this, but there's another video in here somewhere where it was in German, and I'm going to find that one.
visiter les décors étranges des cabinets de réflexion et les temples différents qu'abrite chaque loge. Ils ont pu examiner les insignes et les objets, les fantaisies macabres qui servaient aux initiations et aux réunions de cette société secrète, dont le sens s'était perverti et que l'État français a désormais interdite en raison des maux qu'elle a causés au pays.
Wow, so that was an anti-Mason French, some sort of video. I think it's right here. I think this is it.
The occupation, the French lodges were occupied by German military police.
Dieser Logentempel wurde von unseren Truppen in Paris entdeckt.
Look at that.
Die internationalen Freimaurer umgaben sich auch hier mit kindischer Symbolik und albernem Prunk.
Why does that look familiar? Is that Kronos right there? What is that? I don't know. Do you know? Absurd talismans. I think that, I don't know. Let's keep playing.
Hinter dieser Tarnung verbargen sie jene großen politischen und wirtschaftlichen Transaktionen, die einer...
You can see whoever's speaking right now is saying these French people that we just conquered, they were evil, they were Freemasons, they were involved in investing, arms trafficking. They're basically saying like, we just did a good deed by conquering these people because they were just, they're Freemasons.
Kleinen Clique von Plutokraten, Finanz- und Waffenschiebern.
That's, okay, that looks like Mithras, but it's actually Paris. This is why the city Paris is named after Paris. Paris is from the Iliad.
Yeah, from that War of Troy.
Yeah, Paris is Alexander or the character who takes away Helen. And he wears the Phrygian cap because he's from Troy. So that's what that is. That's actually, I thought this was Mithras when I first saw this, but it's Paris.
Riesige Gewinne verschafften, ganze Völker aber dem Elend preisgaben.
So that was that.
Cool.
Yeah, just so people, I just want people to see, like, there was this whole, the Freemasons they weren't just nobody. They were players on the scene up until the 20th century, you know, and maybe even right as you're saying.
I find it very interesting how the 33rd degree Masons I still currently hang out and talk to and do book studies with, they told me that they heard through the grapevine that Masonry is purposely dissolving the lower degrees of the lodge. Like, they're not actively recruiting. They're selling off a bunch of lodges that are too expensive. Like, they're not, they know their time has come because the third temple is about to arrive, and their whole purpose is to have the order survive for the third temple to build it up for the coming Antichrist. So they know their time has come. It makes perfect sense why they're not actively recruiting, kind of how Masonry is just falling off the map with membership because they've been going for so long.
In Buffalo, New York, where I grew up, it was the address was 33 Delaware. 33, and the building was a square or a rectangle. It was the only rectangular building on the whole street, and it had a Freemason symbol on the cornerstone of the building.
Yeah,
you could see it when you walk by, and that building got sold. I want to say like 10 years ago, and it's now they refurbish it. Now it's apartments. It's not has nothing to do with it anymore. So it's
just,
completely, and it's a symbol of the old order being completely forgotten.
Yeah, and this is what the Masons know, that in these times of the latter days, the brotherhood will be forgotten about within the realms of the public. No one will be interested in the mysteries anymore. And I just find it very interesting and non-coincidental how 2025, the year of their externalization of the hierarchy, they're going perfectly according to plan. We should be seeing this Maitreya Antichrist figure by October 2027, because that's their scheduled timelines. The Masons claim that the ritual for the cornerstone will be on October 2027. Yeah, hold me to that, dude. Yeah, dude, do it. Please do. And thank you for bringing me on, Neil. This was a really great show, dude. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. It's been over 2 hours. I'm kind of cooked.
Yeah, I'm just gonna breeze right through these. I appreciate you. They can do it with plasma. Yeah, they can. I think that was talking about the Project Bluebeam thing. Mic drop, appreciate you for the 600 joules. Let's see, 10 joules, appreciate you, E-Boogie. What's with the constant 33 in recent events? Any thoughts on that?
I think it's self-explanatory.
Yeah,
because it's the time of the 33rd. You know, they're in charge of the alien disclosure. They're going to instigate this war with Iran, with our Muslim Masonic brothers. It's no coincidence how the book of the Muslim, the book of the Quran and Masonry is represented by the lion, and then we have Iran with their lion on the flag with the lion on it. It's just this is all symbolic. It's just Masonic is all hell.
Thanks, Frank Sidebottom. Frank Sidebottom. Thank you for the 400.
Nice.
He's dropping a bunch of. I don't even know what these jewels are. I've never seen jewels. This must be some new YouTube thing.
I don't know what they're putting in these.
I have no idea what these jewels are. I got another one from Chick Jesuit. Thank you for the 30 jewels. I don't know what 30 jewels is worth, but I appreciate it. I'm gonna be very.
Can be Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'll take jewels.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
They were getting eggs and making alien human hybrids on Epstein Island. That's crazy. Is that true?
I haven't heard that, but I heard some shit went down at the Mexican New Mexico ranch that was pretty satanic and like galactic and diabolic. How
Yeah. Thank you for the
Yeah.
super chat. Happy poop. Thank you for that. Gold, thank you for the 10 jewels. Oh, Ozone Mama, 3,000. Thank you for that. I appreciate you.
At Alexander Victor 4310 dropped $5 super chat. Speaking out from Grand Lodge of Oregon, a farm. The blue degrees are fine. I find this interesting. The Scottish Rite does not speak for blue degrees.
Interesting. Any thoughts on that?
Well, obviously, he's in a lodge that's still intact. Good for him, because a lot of lodges are being sold, and I find it very interesting how you don't see a lot of young Masons anymore. Like if you go on, like, look at your local Demolay society in your local city, I bet you there's less than 20 members in their Demolay children Masonic societies.
Yeah.
This is it's not got the popularity it once had, because people know what it is now. And the Masons that still try to defend it, they come up with all these crazy mental gymnastics, like, oh, Lucifer was, just the light bringer. He's not the light of Masonry. Well, if you read Morals and Dogma, Lucifer is the light of Masonry. It's just,
Yeah.
If people just read the same thing,
That's
there'd
right
be
in
no
there.
debate.
That's right in there. Morals and Dogma.
Yeah,
He's just
right there.
pro Lucifer, right in your face. So it's very.
And when I talked to the leader of the Alamo Lodge here in San Antonio, and he, very nice guy, 32nd degree. If you talk to these 32nd degrees, like, what's the difference between Satan and Lucifer? Listen to what they say. It's very fascinating how, they make a very clear distinction between Satan and Lucifer, which they should, but I find it very interesting. And I asked him, like, why don't you just tell the young degrees right off the bat that Lucifer is the light? Why don't we just tell them? Let's be honest up front. He goes, well, I think we'd lose a lot of members if we were told the truth up front. It's like, you think?
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah. Appreciate that super chat there. We got a couple more. Let's see what we got here. Lightbringer. There we go. Lightbringer 111. Thank you for the 9 months membership. Appreciate you. Climb the ranks of Masonry, Mormonism, other groups. Do you realize it's all myth, indoctrination, guilt, and shame? No evidence for the metaphysics. That was a harsh.
I'd say the Goetia.
Drop that one.
I'd say the Goetia rituals are a perfect evidence of the metaphysical realm and the demonic ritual.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about the Goetia? It's from a Greek word. Oh, by the way, I just saw there's that circle. When you look up Goetia, you can see that circle right here, that magic circle. But this is like magic, right? Goetia, magic, and the word means magic in Greek. See right here, goetia, and you find it, and it's not the same as theurgeia. It's another word,
right? And
it's also not the same as magoi, or something. So there's different words for magic in Greek, but when this word is used, it's used in conjunction with a group of beings who Strabo calls the Caberoi, and they're a semi-divine race of beings from the old world. Which I should send you this, because it's like the fallen angels motif.
Okay.
They're called Caberoi. They're called dactyls. They're called giants, gigantes.
There you go.
And there's another word for them, Corybantes. And Strabo.
I've heard that. That's an androgynous demon.
Yeah, Strabo right here. Actually, I can flip right to it because I have a note here. He says right here, here it is. They invented suitable names for the flute and the noise of the rattles and cymbals and drums, the Bacchic cries, foot stomping, choral dancers, attendants of the sacred rites. They're called Caberoi, Corybantes, Pans, Satyrs, Titiroi, calling the god Bacchus, calling Rhea Kybele. And according to other places, Sabazius is a Phrygian in the way of the child and the mother. And the word they use for magic here is literally goetia. He uses that specific word in this passage.
That's great, you know.
So that's there's just and it says right here, they were called Chorites, and they were young men who exhibited martial movements along with dancing, presenting the myth of the origin of Zeus, introducing Kronos as being accustomed to swallow his children immediately after their birth. Anyways, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here about these beings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to do some cross mythology with you. But yeah, thank you for that chat. Then we got Frank dropping a whole bunch of jewels on me. I appreciate you, Frank. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Frank. Happy poop again. Indy Luke says, Josh, tell the story of the holy bull. Josh, which you did tell, so you don't have to repeat it. But he's basically saying you're killing it, Josh. Thank you for telling the story.
That's my homeboy. That's my homeboy, Luke. That's awesome. He said $2.
Thank you for the $1.99, Luke. Appreciate you. And I think we got one more after Frank's other jewels. Thank you, Alexander. Under whose jurisdiction do you speak from? That's the last one.
Spiritually or physically?
I guess that's for you to decide. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
You know,
spiritually, Yeshua. Physically, I am not a part of any. I don't belong to any lodge. I did not take an oath, so I'm not bound to these guys. All this Masonic stuff you see behind me, that's stuff I have obtained to get out of the lodges over my years of infiltration. That compass behind me, I got that from a Masonic altar. I don't know how many souls bound themselves to the lodge through that square and compass, but I can tell you it's a good trophy to have in my library, because as a Christian who's never to swear an oath, I look at that compass behind me and I can't imagine how many of those men were deceived by just being hoodwinked and blindfolded and putting their hand on that square and compass and receiving the light of Lucifer through the pages of the King James. It's just, man, Lucifer's a sneaky guy. He's really tricky and he's good at what he does. But if you know the scripture, he can't fool you anymore. And yeah, through Lucifer's knowledge, we are not ignorant to his devices. So we're the Lord. Thanks be to God.
All right. Well, that's I can't top that. We can close off on that one.
Yeah, dude.
Anywhere that people can find you if they want to look you up.
Yeah, you'll find all my forbidden interviews on BitChute that have been rejected from YouTube over the years. You'll find all my research on Twitter. And in closing, I really respect you, Neil, in your Greek religion. And I just want everyone out there because I'm a 90s kid, man. I grew up in the 90s. I'm all about, don't knock it till you try it. How about that? So if you want to, before you knock on someone's religion, read their, religious text and give it a shot before you knock it. Because as a Christian, I highly recommend you read every ancient religious text and find the truth for yourselves and come to your own conclusion. Because, once you read all the ancient religious texts, you'll find a common denominator. And I think that you'll find the same common denominator that I did. So thank you so much, Neil, for letting me be a part of your show finally. I love your audience. I love your knowledge, and I love the videos you do, man. So thank you. Thank you for everything you've done in the past and what you're still going to do. And thank you for bringing me on. It was an absolute pleasure to be on your show tonight. Thank you so much, bro.
Well, I appreciate you for coming on, man. And you have just attained true gnosis.
You have just attained true gnosis. The demiurge has no power over you.